My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. Jakey Boy and I are going to break down the entire UFC 310 fight card. We're going to give you our picks, our predictions, our bets, and our DraftKings Fantasy Plays. But before we break down this card, I want to thank you all. While we are streaming, while we will be live on the internet right now, we will hit 7 million views. That is insane. We have only been doing this for 3 years. And that is 7 million views of live videos. We've had videos in the past that we've taken down for various reasons. So 7 million views essentially over the last 3 years is absolutely insane. And to further that, 4,000 people took the time to go to the website to become premium members. We've got like 4,400 active premium members right now. Every single one of you that watch, like, comment, even you comment, Angelo looks like the Marshmallow Man, whatever. We appreciate the view, the watch, the interaction. Anybody who's taking it one step further, become a premium member. We appreciate every last one of you. This is freaking nuts that we've gotten to these numbers. You got anything you want to say to people? You're the one who told me we're going to hit 7 million views. So I was like, yeah, we got to talk about that.
Yeah, just want to apologize off the rip if I'm a little bit down this episode tonight. We got some breaking news, some unfortunate news for some people, and I'm going to be as professional as I can about this, right? Because we are professionals. We are professionals. Oh, she's gone! Oh, she's gone, Angelo. Oh my God, she's gone! Oh my God!
Your girlfriend dumped you twice?
The Amanda Hebos and Mackenzie Dern fight has been moved to January 11th. It is no longer the co-main event at UFC Tampa. And I was so excited to go UFC Tampa to go see that fight because I think it's a great matchup. And I think she is going to dominate that fight. But unfortunately, it is not going to be UFC Tampa. I'm still going to UFC Tampa, but damn it, Angelo. Oh. And this is the shirt I was going to wear. This is the debut of the shirt I was going to wear to UFC Tampa since Amanda's not going to be there. I hope you enjoyed it anyway. This was the front. Strawweight Amanda, and the back is badass. This is the back. Can you see it?
I can see it. When was that?
Early on in her career. Maybe her first win? I can't remember.
That's a sick shirt. So before we go live here, obviously.
Well, I just want to say,
yeah, congrats
to Amanda for another main event. Maybe I can figure it out, but quit playing games with my heart, my heart, my heart.
I should have known from the start.
I should have known from the.
You were a main event.
You were always,
not a
yeah,
co.
That is right. Yeah.
Yeah, this is an upgrade for her.
Yeah,
You're sad.
No, I'm
She's
excited
happy.
for it.
Yeah,
I'm excited for it. It's another main event. You can't turn that down, but. Oh, shit.
So I didn't know you made that shirt. You were sitting there with the shirt before we went live, and I noticed this shirt, and I was like, that's a sick shirt. I didn't know you made it.
It's awesome, man.
It's the same. You just made it on Amazon like you did the other one?
Yeah, man. Just the
God
pictures.
damn,
there,
dude. We
like
should make our merch on Amazon. That's nice shit. that's nice shit. Anything to say to the 7 million people who decide to tune in?
I'm not fucking surprised, honestly. A little bit surprised that we're not at that 50, 100 million with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, but we're gonna get there. But I do appreciate everyone that's been watching and all the premium members for sure. And the premium membership is a part of why that I was able to go to stuff like UFC Tampa, and
it funds everything.
And now my fucking ruined.
Well, it does stink, but it does seem like there's a lot of people going to UFC Tampa because you've gotten a lot of people. I'm going. I'll be there. So it should be fun regardless. But yeah, I hear you. That was what triggered you to go. You're not just like, oh, I love Tampa.
It's good. Obviously it's a great card anyway and stuff. We'll still have some fun and stuff like that. But obviously I was kind of hoping to go see Amanda fight. But
I'm sure you've seen her. Have you seen every single one of her fights since the first one?
What? No.
Yeah, that was worded. That was worded poorly.
I didn't see the Macy. I've just seen her last two. I didn't see the Luana Pinheiro either.
Oh, all right. So, yeah, I'm an idiot. You just saw her.
I just saw her last two.
Yeah.
No.
You saw versus Rose, and you saw the other
the
John Jones
285.
card 2 years ago.
285.
Yeah.
So just her last fight is what I saw.
Yeah, all right. Well, either way, let's look forward, Jakey boy. Not so far forward that we're going to be sad about it, but forward enough that we can get ourselves a Saturday. 7 million views, 4,000 premium members, and as of this moment right now, 18 units of bets on the board for those two cards. Those two cards alone already have 18 units on the board. We're going to round out this year with an absolute bang. I have been crushing it. Jakey boy absolutely smoked last week. The only reason this has just my info is I didn't have time to update this slide, and I used the same slide for my quick picks video. Jakey boy smoked UFC Macau. I didn't do as well at UFC Macau, but even with that little fumble, I am up 11 of the last 13
That should have been a fucking clean
fight
sweep for me because what's his name won that fight.
The
really long name guy.
I actually listen. I watched it knowing the result, so that skews your view of it because I wasn't waking up at 2, so I watched it after. It was definitely a close fight. I thought the wrestling was the difference.
Jacob wants a MILF. He's got MILF lust eyes.
Jacob does not want a MILF. I promise you. Like, what's the opposite of a child? That's what he I crushed the last 13 cards. We crushed the absolute pay-per-views, and we went on a tear. The boys have been killing it. If you have been a premium member for any amount of time in the last 4 months or 6 months or whatever it is, we've all been feasting. So you can become a premium member now. Unlock those 18
I've only
bets.
missed 2 pay-per-view main event picks this year, which I think is pretty good considering the
we had wild underdogs this year too. Yeah,
that was Steve Erceg, which arguably almost nearly fucking won that fight, and then Sean versus Merab, which it was.
Yeah, that is what it was. But we've been killing it. And if you guys want to hop on this train, you can do so now. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. It's only $10 for an entire month, and I 100% promise you there is no such thing as weeks off. Not only will there be bets for these events for the rest of 2024, but also future bets for 2025. Every single week, you're going to get a video from me breaking down another card, giving you that insight, putting the bets on the website. So get ahead of the line movement. Don't hop off the train just because the calendar says so. The UFC takes a 3-week break. It's not a month. It's a 3-week break. And during those 3 weeks, you will get continuous breakdown. Safety parlay, also been on quite the heater. 7 of the last 8 safety parlays, a 68% ROI. But it's not just copy-paste gets. We also have tools. The data analyzer is a tool I will focus on these next couple of weeks because the data analyzer is future-proof. It has every single fight from every single event that is listed. Well into 2025, you have events listed, all the fighters, all the fights, all the data points. You can do your tape study. You can look at the data, the insight, the information, and get ahead of the line movement. We use BetOnline. We live in Texas, so we use BetOnline. BetOnline has like 6 events, I believe, on the board that you can bet on right now. So get ahead of all the craziness before the casuals pop on and start moving lines. You can unlock the data analyzer, the DraftKings optimizer. This will be preloaded with the best ownership projections on the planet. The line movement tracker. This is going to give you the opening odds, the current odds, the win probability, and the line movement for every fighter on every card. So you can wait. So you can wait for. Are you relapsing? Oh God damn it, Amanda! He's relapsing. As you turned away, too, that picture of you two behind you, just really front and center.
Don't look at me.
The line movement tracker, opening odds, current odds, win probability, and line movement for every fighter on that card. So you can go ahead and quickly see if something is trending in your favor or against you. So you can go ahead and decide when to bet. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. You're going to get the prop hunt.
Should I go premium or go to the strip club? Go to the strip club. Yeah, go to the strip club with $10 and let me see what you get. Let me know what you fucking get for $10. You're gonna be waiting all night for dollar dances, and they're not gonna let you line 10 of them up in a row. It's like one dance and you're fucking done, buddy.
And there's an order of operation. You get premium for the $10. Hopefully you do it the right way. You use the tools, you use the insight, you tail the right bets. Then you have way more than $10. Then you head on over to the Ladies with Daddy Issues Club. That's how you do it.
They're not all daddy issues. There is some nice,
Most.
sweet, educated girls that are there to help pay bills. You know, maybe they got a situation. Maybe they're taking care of their sick grandparent. Maybe it's just a fun hobby, right? Because pole dancing, I think every girl, honestly, and Angela, I think you would agree, wives, everything, should try to get introduced to pole dancing. It's a self-confidence booster. It's a way to work out and stay fit, but it's fun with the community, and some of them might want to take it a step further. You know what? I feel my self-worth. I'm going to take my clothes off, and people are going to, it's not all people with issues. Some people
share that gift.
Yeah, some people just have that extra ambition, and I applaud it, and I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, we have a gift for picking fights. They have a gift for looking the way they look, and they want to share it with the world. Real quick, kind of a pivot, but not. So that $43 million OF chick, you know, she doesn't even do nakeds or anything.
Sophia Rain? Sophia Rain?
Yeah, I saw some video on my TikTok.
By the way, for her to out me, I mean, okay.
As her top donor?
Listen, yeah. Okay, $4.7 million I sent her. No big deal. But for her to out me like that?
It's not. I mean, it's going to be a much lower number next year. That's for sure.
Do you like the beard or no beard?
I can't grow a beard. I always like other people's beards.
You like it though?
Yeah, makes you look less cancerous.
You think a man would like it?
I don't know if she'd like it.
What about my neck tattoo?
Where?
Excuse me?
The headphone. There you go.
Hey, excuse me? Excuse me? You see that?
She'll love it. No, I think she'll love it.
Hand
Oh.
tattoos.
Wow.
Don't let them see it too much. You know what I mean?
There you go. And she has no tattoos, right?
She's got tattoos.
Oh. If you guys want to send a letter, want to send something for the mail day on the vlog,
Angelo
here's
shouldn't
the address.
be talking about illnesses until he gets rid of the AIDS.
I don't have AIDS, never did, never will. I already have a couple of really cool emergency mail day sessions for the 310 vlog that I opened and recorded because I got the package. I was like, I got to open this. One of those is from Hayabusa. Hayabusa is an official partner of this show. You'll see their logo on the graphics, and we'll talk about them a little later. We'll film some stuff. I'm going to get my girls. That video went viral of that little cheerleader just shadow boxing like an animal. That's my goal for the girlies. So we got them some stuff from Hayabusa. If you do want to send something, we want picks, P.O. Box 406, Prosper, Texas 75078. Oh, that's the next slide. We do have a super chat, $1.99 from Park Stew. George chokes on froyo. Some froyo is pretty thick. Depends what you put on it. $1.99. Thank you for the super chat. I guess I'm just going to go ahead and start breaking this down. I don't know where the hell Jacob just went or what he's doing. I hear shuffling in the background. Here we go. Here we go. All right. There we go. Jacob gets it. So,
Fucking unplugged the goddamn thing.
Not only did Hayabusa, and you'll see it during the mail day, not only did they send stuff for my daughters to learn how to fight and protect themselves, they sent stuff for my son as well, and he is wearing his Hayabusa gi. First gi he ever owned. You don't have a frame of reference, but I imagine you can
Nice little collar choke.
feel the quality there. Well,
Nice
you got to,
little collar.
It's here. I mean, you got to,
Yeah, I know.
I don't think you do because you're grabbing here. You got to get it.
Well, you can't. It's hard to self.
Farther.
It's hard
No,
to self
it's not.
choke.
Watch. Okay, let's go ahead and break down. Oh, and people loving the hat. Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
We're sponsored out today. Jakey Boy with the Hayabusa gi. I got the Young LA hoodie on, which is almost a little too warm. It's very heavy duty. And this is not a sponsor. It's just the holiday season. I saw this on Tiki Taki, so I went ahead and bought it. You ready to break down this card, big man? There we go. Oh, geez, don't rip it. It's high quality, but Tamagotchi. Opening up. I know. Thank you for noticing. I know. Thank you. Thank you for noticing. These are new graphics. So nobody glazes our graphics more than I do. And I also never just accept what we have, right? It's a constant evolution. You can't get comfortable. There's just some dweeb with Tapology snipping at our heels, trying to work their way up the ladder. So we have to continue to make that gap wider and wider. And these graphics here, I'll walk you through very quickly the changes. One, you see Hayabusa right smack up top. They're a supporter of the show officially now, so you see their logo. We have included them. Two, we made it much more clear. You see the pricing for DraftKings? That says D and Fantasy. That's the DraftKings logo in Fantasy. Made it much more clear that is fantasy pricing, because one of the biggest questions we get is, what the hell are those numbers? Obviously, we have the sportsbook odds, the opening odds and the current odds, the bet openly odds, best odds on the planet, and there's no better way to visualize that than showing them here. We already had the fighter names and their records and their last 5, but what we've done now is we've added the odds, the flags, and the last 5 to the fighter profile. So when I swap the middle, you still have that information. Anything anybody could want or need. Right here, best looking graphics in the game. Let's go ahead and break this down. Opening up the UFC 310 fight card. We have one of the newer additions to the card. We got Kennedy Nzechukwu taking on Lukasz Brzeski. Kennedy Nzechukwu, 13-5 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He is coming off the first round knockout win over Chris Barnett. He's taking on Lukasz Brzeski. Lukasz Brzeski, 9-5 in his career, 1-4 in his last 5. He's coming off that stoppage loss to Mick Parkin. Kennedy Nzechukwu, as we all know, is kind of a big dude. He was a very big light heavyweight. He has moved up to heavyweight, and so far, so good. He's long, he's powerful, solid takedown defense. Never out of a fight. We've talked about this many, many times, where he's a little gun shy, doesn't let his hands go, starts to fall behind, and then boom, pulls out that win late. Most notably, he did it against Carlos Ulberg, was kind of getting touched up, clearly losing that fight, and then made it happen. That gun shy can be a bit frustrating, but he does seem to have picked up that volume as of late. He's very powerful, pretty a durable guy for the most part, but he can be unreliable. And as I mentioned, he's coming off that first round stoppage over Chris Barnett at UFC 308. Pretty quick turnaround for Kennedy. Taking on Lukasz Brzeski. Lukasz is stepping up on short notice. Well-rounded heavyweight with solid power. No, wait. Who's stepping up on short notice? No, Lukasz was already on this card. Yeah, Kennedy stepping up on short notice. Lukasz was already on this card. He was going to be fed to a UFC newcomer to kind of be a highlight reel on the wrong side. He is a well-rounded guy for the most part. He's got some solid power, solid speed, good takedowns, nice leg kicks, pretty athletic. He'll work in some spinning attacks. The problem is he has no striking defense whatsoever. He overreacts when strikes come his way, and his chin can't always hang. He was just knocked out by Mick Parkin, who is not a power guy. So Lukasz was on this card. Lukasz was supposed to fight a young stud. The young stud got hurt. Kennedy steps up on short notice, and I think the result's going to be the same. Kennedy Nzechukwu is going to come forward, do what he does. I think Lukasz loses pretty bad here and gets finished. Kennedy Nzechukwu, minus 600 favorite, and those odds make sense to me. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, Kennedy should win this fight. I still have no idea why people trust Kennedy versus anybody. Obviously, I was very high on Beast Boy last fight, and I think if he doesn't blow his knee out, I think he was on his way to smoking Kennedy. So I'm picking Kennedy. He should win this fight, but I think the odds at anything over minus 300 for Kennedy versus anybody, I think, is a little bit wild from what we've seen from him in the past before. So it wouldn't surprise me if he fucking found a way to lose this one, but I'll pick him.
Yeah, I mean, he should win. I understand your concerns there. The biggest issue was certainly when he went ahead and lost to an elderly person when he was a minus 550 favorite. So since then, it has been hard to trust Kennedy, but I think he should get this done. $9,400 in DraftKings Fantasy. He should be worth that, right? He should finish Lukasz, should finish him somewhat early. He did pretty well against Chris Barnett, and this could look similar in result. Kennedy Nzechukwu is the pick, and if you do want to check out any of the bets, the round line leans, the tools, artificial intelligence, and everything else, we got 18 units of bets on the board right now. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. $2 super chat from David Rios. He says, can we bet on your rematch? Yes. When Jacob and I eventually, I'm just waiting on him. I just need a date, time, place, and we'll get it done. When Jacob and I fight again, it will be live, and Bet Openly will put up odds. They offered to do it last time, but we turned it down because it wasn't live, and obviously there's some integrity questions if you're betting on something pre-recorded. But it will be live. The rules will be very clear and established, and you can bet on it through Bet Openly once we figure that out. I mean, I'm going to be minus 1,000, so don't get too excited. There's not going to be any value there. Dave Broom says, Ange, graphics got me as stiff as my dead mother. That's grim, but I appreciate it. Then Anthony Hamaman says, Mick Parkin is ranked now in reference to me saying Lucas Brzeski just lost to Mick Parkin. Yeah, Mick Parkin's not a bad fighter, but he's not a powerful. He knocks out nobody. And then Lucas is the point I was making. And then $4.99 from Julio. Ange, what's your thoughts on buying 5.5 points and even 7.5 when DraftKings offer? I mean, everything comes down to the matchup. 7.5 is crazy. I can't believe that's an option.
You can buy like 13.5.
I know. It's nuts. It just comes down, first of all, the first decision you have to make when considering that bet is, does this fight go to a decision? If the answer is yes, and then it's like, is this fight going to be somewhat close? Can my fighter win a couple of rounds? And if that answer is yes, then yeah, of course, buy the points. But if you don't think it's going to go to a decision, then don't buy the points. Because if your fighter gets smoked, then you're kind of screwed. And also, like anybody who bought the points with Figgy against Petr Yan got absolutely smoked. They didn't get paid. That bet did not cash. So it really comes down to the matchup. But you want heavy underdogs. When I look for plus 3.5 or 5 in a main event, I want a heavy underdog, so I'll get plus money on the bet, who is durable as hell and can make it a dogfight. You agree, Jacob?
I don't agree with anything that you say.
Why is the hate for me for? What I do? I didn't move Man's fight.
Not sure if that's true.
I wrote him a letter. Yeah. Hey, guys.
Sure. I don't know that you're not. Have you ruled I don't know if anybody's ruled you out of the situation. I don't know if you have an alibi or you think green is your color?
I think Christmas is my season. $1.99 from Bogdan Svitin. Betting Angelo in rematch. Yeah, I mean, you better have a ton of money because I'm going to be especially if they're taking bets like we have to cap it or we have to cap it correctly.
How about me taking my fucking Michigan Wolverines plus 850, and I think they even moved to plus 1,000 before the game started over the Ohio State fucking suck guys, and hopefully Ryan Day stays the fucking coach there forever. Holy shit, is that guy a fucking idiot?
I don't know enough about college football as a whole, but I do know that rivalry, and I did buy you that shirt. I've never seen you wear the shirt that I bought you. What's up with that?
Hell. I literally had it on during the game, and I posted the picture on Twitter and on Instagram.
Of you wearing it? Oh, I didn't notice. It's amazing. I didn't get tagged in it, which is weird because it would have been an easy tag.
Well, now it's outdated because it's 4 in a row now.
Well, did you mark it up?
Oh, mark your face up, pussy.
You can try. Give us the date. When are we fighting? Give me the date.
I mean, this whole Amanda thing really throws me for a loop.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I wanted to say January 11th, but now, might be out of town.
Okay, that's fine. We'll push it to the 18th.
No, because I can't go partying. Now it resets the whole training regimen if I'm going
February
partying.
9th. How about that?
It takes a lot longer to recover in just a couple weeks. I can get back in training, get back into shape after I come back from someplace, and we'll just have to figure it out. I mean, our people are in talks with your people, and I think we're going to get this done.
It's funny. I pinned this guy because he says Ange looks good in green. As I was pinning this comment, I thought it said MMA obesity. As I was pinning it, I was like, fuck, he got me. And then it said objectivity. So I was like, oh, all right. Nice. Quack, quack. Duck, duck. Johnny Jones, Jacob. Next up.
How am I ducking? I'm telling truths. Sorry.
Yeah, 2 truths and a lie.
I had the date set. And I was going to tell Angelo because he said anytime, anywhere, and I wanted to catch him off guard. I had the date set, and then I was attacked, and I got staples in my head, and we couldn't do it. That pushed everything back. I couldn't train. I couldn't do what I needed to do. So it pushes it back. Now we got this situation going on. I can't help what the world is throwing at me. I'm trying, guys.
Well, I'll be patient. We'll be waiting. Just, guys, keep asking him. Keep pushing it. Just remind him what he has.
And I won the first time. Why do I need a rematch?
Let's all remember he did this to himself by running his mouth. Next up, at UFC 310, we have Clay the Carpenter Guida taking on Chase Hooper. Clay Guida, 38-24 in his career. He is only 2-3 in his last 5, and he is on an unfortunate 2-fight skidorooski. Taking on Chase Hooper, 14-3 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5. He is on a nice 3-fight win streak. Clay Guida is a legend. We've talked about him many, many times on this show. I believe he was was he your first winning underdog lock of the week?
The very first ever lock of the week winner. The very first ever lock of the week was Antonio Carlos Jr. He lost. Next week was Clay Guida. Smoked them.
There you go. And Clay Guida's an all-timer. He's not an all-time great, but he's an all-time exciting guy. And if you've been watching this sport as long as I have, Clay Guida is a guy that will live in infamy. He has more than one fight that are and should be in the UFC's single fight Hall of Fame. The guy's an absolute animal. Comes forward with as much cardio as you could ever need for 20 rounds, let alone 3. Just the whirling dervish of chaos. He can wrestle, he can strike, he can do all the things. Problem is, he's been in some wars. He's getting older. Never quite made that FU money, so continued to be a full-time carpenter. That's where the nickname came from. And while Clay Guida...
Jesus.
While...
Like Jesus Cristo.
He's not Spanish. I think he's Middle Eastern, isn't he?
He's a carpenter like Jesus Cristo.
He, unfortunately, is a ripe 42 years old, and that's a little too old to be in certain fistfights. But Clay Guida is a guy that we need to appreciate while we have him. He won't be here forever. And if you have not gone down the Clay Guida rabbit hole, I do recommend you check out some old school fights. Anytime you're going to see Clay Guida in some shorts that still have sponsors on them, you can guarantee that was a fun fight to watch. Taking on Chase Hooper. Chase Hooper started as like a dweeb. That was his whole thing. It was his whole image, joking that he was Ben Askren's son. Very scrawny, had the curly hair. Literally was building his career and just being phenomenal at jiu-jitsu. It didn't take long for him to get bullied by a couple of full-grown men before he was like, yeah, I should probably work out and work on all my other skills. And he has been working on those skills. He has been thickening up. He has been becoming a man right in front of our eyes.
Thicken it up, huh? Attaboy, Chase, thicken that thing up, baby.
We met Clay Guida at UFC 303, and he was not small.
Clay Guida,
huh? Chase Hooper.
You didn't.
Clay Guida
shit.
is small.
You didn't go up to him at all. I walked up and said, "Can I get a picture?" And he was like, "Yeah,
Correct.
man." He was super cool.
Of course he was cool. It was him, Jens Pulver, and somebody else. And you didn't know the other two people, but I did.
I think the other people were low enough offended that I was just like, Chase.
I think Jens Pulver was for sure. Guy's an all-timer. First ever lightweight
Guys,
champion
all
of the world.
time.
First ever lightweight champion of the world. You're like, excuse me, old man.
This is Chase fucking Hooper.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Anyway, he was not small at all. Like Chase Hooper is thickening up, is putting in the work, is evolving those skills. He just dropped with raw manpower the team alpha male striking coach, and then obviously pounced and submitted him. This is also a rematch. Chase Hooper and Clay Guida fought in a Fury grappling match. Clay Guida shot a takedown. Chase Hooper stuffed it, took his back, and just absolutely ragged off. So maybe he's not as big as I thought he was. Because if
he's huge.
If you're 5'6",
he's huge.
and he absolutely smoked Clay Guida on the ground. Obviously, Clay's the one who took the shot. It's not as if Chase Hooper shot a double, picked him up, and slammed him, but he stuffed the takedown, took his back, literally did whatever he wanted to do, and ultimately finished with the calf slicer. I do unfortunately feel that this fight will be the same. Certainly, if Clay Guida doesn't shoot, we probably have a kickboxing match. I don't know if Chase's takedowns have gotten that much better, but Clay Guida's older. He's slowing down. He fought an old man in his last fight, and he looked slow then. Against a young guy like Chase Hooper, evolving as quickly as he is. Chase Hooper should dominate this fight, minus 1,000. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of value there, but I do believe those odds are correct. What do you think, Jakey Boombalats?
Yeah, this is pretty easy to break down. If it hits the ground, he's probably going to look like a minus 1,000, minus 800 favorite, because that's exactly what he looked like in a previous grappling match, right? Now, it was a little bit of a weird situation, right? Because they weren't supposed to leg lock, and then all of a sudden he's got this calf slicer, and it's like, is he allowed to do that? But he is allowed to do that. So it was a weird type of situation. I don't think Clay was like properly defending leg locks type situations because they're not allowed to leg lock when the UFC fighters are grappling. But I think regardless, Chase Hooper is a good enough grappler that if it goes to the ground, he's probably going to be very dominant. If he can't get the finish, he's going to do enough, maybe a TKO situation like he has. But if it doesn't go to the ground, people have somehow determined that Chase Hooper is this phenomenal striker that can still dominate if this fight doesn't go to the ground because he landed one punch against Slava. Now, I'm not saying that he can't, but I'm saying that if you were pricing this fight as a pure kickboxing match, which it very could easily turn into because Chase doesn't have the best takedowns and Clay knows how to wrestle. And Clay has not shot takedowns before. If you look at some of his fights, he's not shot takedowns before and he's comfortable striking. And he knows the dangers already. If he didn't already know the dangers, he might be grappling, but he knows the dangers that will go into the ground will take it. So, if this was priced at just a kickboxing match between Chase Hooper and Clay Guida, I don't think you're going to take Chase Hooper at minus 1,000. It's probably going to be Chase Hooper by minus 150. So it's a little bit of a concern for me because I don't know if this is guaranteed to go to the ground. If it does, Chase should smoke him. But if it doesn't, Clay Guida can hold his own against fucking Chase Hooper and fucking in and out boxing. And those takedowns are going to be that are already not great. The way Clay Guida fucking moves around in there. I mean, if you already don't have good takedowns, he's a tough guy to find. It could get interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with those points. I still think Chase Hooper wins almost no matter what. I do think he can win at kickboxing.
Yeah, it's and I think he can too. I mean, he's a long, rangy guy for the division. Clay's not like a fantastic. I'm just saying it's
he's just
definitely
busy. Yeah.
It's a lot more interesting for sure. But this is one of those weird fights where Chase could just look like he's supposed to look, and then nobody cares.
Yeah, and unfortunately for fans like myself, age matters, and you will see your favorite fighters slow down, fall off, and not be who they once were. And it's more than a number inside of a cage. DraftKings Fantasy, $9,700 to $6,500. This comes down to if Jacob is correct and Clay Guida is not shooting any takedowns and Chase doesn't shoot any takedowns either, and it's just a kickboxing match where Chase is pretty much in control, he will win the fight, but he will score like absolute dog shit in DraftKings Fantasy. If this does end up on the ground, then Chase will probably do what he did last time and will look fantastic in DraftKings Fantasy. So that's a decision you're going to have to make with what you think will happen in this fight. But I'm very confident that Chase will win. DraftKings Fantasy is a whole different world. If you do want to check out all the picks, the bets, the tools, the round line leans, and more, 18 units of bets on the board right now. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member to the top. $2 super chat from Phil Bacon. T-shirts are on the way. He has sent T-shirts for mail day. Extra large for Big Ange, medium for Jacob.
It's Joshua Van Week.
Oh, yes. And Jakey Boy, his shirt size, he's a medium if it's a T-shirt. He's a large if it's long sleeve because he does have arms long enough to scratch his knees without bending.
Very long arms. One of the biggest compliments I've ever gotten in my life was I used to play pickup ball all the time. Like after high school, it was like every fucking weekend. That's all you do in Indiana. Is you just go with the Y or whatever, play pickup ball. But we went down to Bloomington where IU, so there's a lot of college kids. They had a rec center, so it's like actually like fucking really good games you can get going there. And I was playing on a game, and I always guard because my arms are so long. I always end up guarding the centers for whatever reason. And there was a black gentleman on the other team that was like 6'5", and you could tell he played in like a JUCO college or was a really high level high school basketball player. And I did not play in high school. I just like fucking playing. But he was backing me down and he pump faked me and I jumped and I went like that. And he said, "Oh man, you N-word long as fuck." I can't say it, whatever, but it was the way he said it, I was like, "Oh, hell yeah." And then he just fucking spun around and just got past me. He said, "This long as fuck." And I was like, "You damn right I am." And then he just fucking took me to school for the next fucking 20 minutes.
Well, that is a compliment.
Yeah, it was, but my arms are very long, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
And you experienced that during our fight.
No, because you leaned your head forward like an idiot and you kept your arms behind you. It was a very bizarre strategy.
Yeah, all I heard every 20 seconds was hands up from Sensei that was just watching. That was just like ref or whatever. He was like concerned. It's, hey, hands up.
Because you just kept
hands up. Just hands up. Hands. Just like when I went to the ground, I had like a knee shield and I was holding onto your shirt and they're like, "You gotta let that go." I'm like, "I'm not fucking letting that go." "No, you gotta let that go." I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna let that go." I know what's gonna happen as soon as I let that go.
What is funny, so obviously you and I had that little, it wasn't a fight, but it was close-ish. I was surprised. I was like, oh shit, I knew Jacob worked out. He's a little stronger than I thought he would be. Not afraid, and he wasn't afraid of punches. Most people you don't know if you're afraid of a punch until someone's throwing punches, and natural reaction is just flinch, right? Some people just have to work through it.
I think the best part was like literally right when we started, I just stuck my head there, and you just hit me with a couple jabs. Like, oh, it's fucking. Obviously, it's not like you were like snapping me with a real.
No,
jab,
I know, but yeah, it's part of just like it's
yeah,
not
just
the
like,
worst
oh,
thing.
yeah,
in
it's
the world.
fucking,
yeah. So this past
and
weekend,
it was bare knuckle too.
Yeah. So this past weekend, we went to Broken Bow, Oklahoma. It's like where people around here, you drive a few hours. It's like you rent a cabin in the mountains and you just hang out. And one of my buddies was there.
It seemed like it was a good time.
It was a good time. Yes. Yeah, we're going to have the exact same good time this Saturday at my house. Will you be coming to that?
Honestly,
I'm officially
I
invited.
planned on it. And
until
with this Amanda news, I just, it's, it really kind of pissed me off too. Is that earlier today we were like, "Hey, you want to go to 310?" It's like, nah. Now it's like, fuck. Wish I could just fucking flip flop it.
Oh yeah, go to 310 instead of this. Yeah.
It's Tampa, so it'll be fun.
So we were playing drinking games all day, hanging out, and you know what happens when men start hanging out? Everybody wants to challenge. Everybody wants to challenge the big guy to a sword fight. No, it was like, let's just try to grab me trying to wrestle. And
it really did get. What party? What's going on?
In a manly way.
Yeah, and I've never been at a party where you get 3 tequilas in you and you start manhandling the other guys in a fucking circle. What the fucking
when you're standing
American
around,
Beauty is going on here?
When you're standing around an alpha, a big dog, people are like, I bet I could throw him to the ground. I bet I can kick his ass, whatever. And didn't work out that way, and he's walking with a limp now. So, nope, because of his ankle. Because of his ankle.
And he ain't going to be walking right for a week. You know?
Because of his ankle. Point being, I was with him too. I was like, fuck, he's kind of strong too. And then, whoop, tossed him. Patrick Wilkins says, don't say thick around Angelo. He's sad he still can't eat more turkey. I'll let it be known. We got a ton of turkey left, and I made turkey salad for lunch. Mike Ox Mall says, Kopylov versus Curtis, early predictions. In my opinion, Chris dies. Picking Kopylov over Chris Curtis. Chris is the better, more well-rounded fighter. Kopylov's the much better striker.
I think that's on the January 11th card.
That's a really good matchup. I got to do a little more research.
Hurry up with the picks. Not trying to be here forever. Oh, you got a bedtime, Eryk. Oh,
you could also leave.
Oh,
baby Eryk.
Out. Parents are gonna come check on you. Take your phone. Pussy.
I agree that is. But you could just wait until it's published and done and fly through the chapters. Bunch of nerds.
My colostomy bag's almost full.
Next up at UFC 310, we got Mikey Mav Chiesa taking on Max Griffin. Michael Chiesa, 17-7.
Why did you say Max Griffin's nickname?
Max Payne Griffin. Just because Mikey Mav flows. And I don't ever plan on saying nicknames. It just happens sometimes. Plus, I'm picking Michael Chiesa. Michael Chiesa, 17-7 in his career, 2-3 in his last 5. He's coming off that submission win over Tony Ferguson. Taking on Max Payne Griffin, 20-10 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He is alternating wins and losses. Michael Chiesa, while he is becoming an analyst and he's in front of the camera far more often, he's still fighting. He's still an active fighter on this roster. He just fought a senior citizen, likely put him into retirement. But he looked pretty good in that fight. He can still get some... He didn't look good in that fight? Yes, he bullied a small old man, but still.
That really happened. I mean, Tony was kind of pressuring him, and he just kind of... It's a little jab he was throwing out there. Didn't look great. I mean...
He got it to the ground, and he got his submission. Paddy Pimblett couldn't submit him. Michael Chiesa did. Anyway, Michael Chiesa, very one-dimensional fighter. He wants to come forward, get the takedowns, work on the ground. Pretty solid grappler, okay wrestling, okay hands. He's got a ton of experience at all levels. He's been fighting at a high level for a while now. He's not particularly athletic. He's not very strong. He's not very fast, but he grinds. He comes forward, he grinds. And if he can get the takedowns, he can have a good amount of success. He's taking on Max Griffin. Powerful striker, some incredible knockouts. He has a total of 8 knockdowns in the UFC. If you go back and watch his fight against Ramiz Brahimaj, he had Ramiz's ear hanging off by a thread. Literally almost punched that dude's ear off of his head. It was disgusting. He's also a decent grappler in his own right. He averages about 2 takedowns per fight, and he is coming off that pretty close win over Jeremiah Wells back in February. And Michael Chiesa is pretty much at the end of his career here, right? He's got a couple of fights left. He'll move into the analyst desk, does a pretty good job there. He is the younger fighter in this matchup somehow. Shockingly, the younger fighter in this matchup.
He's only 36, isn't he?
I know, and I thought he was like 42. Like, he just seems...
His beard's getting grayer and grayer. I think that...
I mean, that might be what it is. And he's been
especially
around for a
because
while.
usually you see him especially now, you see him like in his analyst suit. So all you see is that gray beard.
Yeah.
And then when he fought Tony Ferguson, he takes his shirt off. You're like, oh, he's still fucking Michael Chiesa. I mean, he's still jacked as shit. He don't look old at all.
And I was surprised. Like, part of the... I'll move now. Part of the benefit of doing this graphics is a pain in the ass. It takes me a couple hours a week to do these. It's annoying. But it does, like... make you look at these stats. And as I was typing it up, I was like, holy shit, Max Griffin's older? And I looked and I came back, I'm like, he is older. Which is a helpful little tip there because...
You know what the craziest part of that, and I put on Twitter, that Vicente Luque is younger than Themba.
Yeah, that was another one where I was like, damn, dude. But fight years are different than just walk the earth.
Oh,
years.
you don't know shit.
Okay. Ultimately, I am going to pick Michael Chiesa here, though. I think he can get a takedown. Max Griffin's takedown defense is okay. It's not great. Michael Chiesa is going to stick to a game plan. He's going to come forward, and he's going to get it to the ground. If he gets it to the ground, I think he'll have plenty of success. If he can't get it to the ground, then, yeah, he's not the better striker, and he'll lose. So I'm going to pick Michael Chiesa. Very low confidence in that pick. Not going to bet it in all likelihood. Maybe a plus 3.5. But, you know, if we go by the criteria we broke down earlier, do I think it goes to decision? Probably. Is Michael Chiesa tough? He's pretty tough. Is he a huge dog? Not really. So that plus 3.5, I don't know what the odds are going to be, but I am going to pick Michael Chiesa here, but fully aware that he doesn't win a striking match, and he's going to need to get it to the ground. What do you think, Jakey boy? Oops, I was already on your slide.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of a couple people this week that, you know, I know Angelo talks about, oh, I've done this, I was in the Connor documentary and this and that, and me and Angelo, if you guys didn't know, were just featured in a movie. If you want to check the other 2 weeks ago live stream, we featured that, I think, in
the Burden of 9 Lives.
The Burden of 9 Lives, we were in that, and Angelo thinks he's hot shit, but I also, you know, this week was featured in a couple videos. You know, Max Griffin put together a highlight video, had me doing a little voiceover work, you know, something light, and then, you know, Eryk Anders as well. You know, he put me in his also, you know, a little voiceover work. People really like the sultry velvet tone that I bring to a cinematic feature. And I just want to thank them for doing that. You know, gonna have to invoice you for it. You know, gonna have to invoice you for it. But I like Max Payne Griffin. I have nothing against Michael Chiesa. Honestly, when that fight started, I was pretty high on Tony that week, that I thought he had a real shot versus a guy like Michael Chiesa, because I didn't think that the grappling advantage was going to be as strong as it was. I mean, he just wrapped up Tony Ferguson like he has never done jiu-jitsu in his fucking life, which was impressive because Tony typically is pretty wiry and hard to hold on to on the ground. So hats off to that. But in the striking, I was like, oh, I think Tony actually is going to have a chance because he wasn't doing anything crazy. Coming in against a Tony Ferguson that we've seen, you would have thought he'd be just a little bit more aggressive. He looked a little bit tentative, passive. And Max Griffin is a guy that should beat a lot more people than he does. He is a very talented guy. He has like 8 split decisions, I think, in his entire career, which is absolutely insane because sometimes he just doesn't quite do enough. And I think this is Max Griffin's fight to lose. He's going to be able to pressure Chiesa. He should be able to counter wrestle Chiesa. Max Griffin is a good wrestler. He has takedowns on his own. And Michael Chiesa isn't like this overly dominant wrestler, right? He can get taken down. He can get out grappled as well. He's been submitted. So if Max Griffin wants to shoot a takedown to win rounds at the end, I think that's not a bad game plan. He just got to do enough while he's pressuring. Throw something out there. Keep active in the striking. I just think he can win the striking and counter wrestling, and I'm actually kind of high on Payne Griffin this week. He has been my lock of the week before, so maybe I'm biased. That's my dude, and I'm taking him to get it done.
Listen, I don't hate that pick. It makes sense. It's logical. I just think Michael Chiesa will be able to get it to the ground. The biggest concern for Michael Chiesa needing to get it to the ground is he is not a dominant wrestler. He can wrestle, but he's not like a phenomenal wrestler.
He's a high school wrestling coach.
Correct. But where what was his Division I credentials? Like that's the
He was T-Rex coach.
Correct, in high school. But what does give us hope is we just saw Charles Oliveira, who never wrestled a day in his life, out-wrestle the shit out of college wrestler Michael Chandler. So ultimately, credentials don't mean anything. When you're inside the cage, you can time your things well. Jacob and I are split on this fight. I do believe one of us has a little bit of money on it. If you do want to check that out, WeWantPicks.com.
It's me.
It's him. Check that WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. At the top, it's only freaking $10. What the hell could possibly prevent you from checking that out? DraftKings Fantasy 7,900, 8,300. I don't think either one's going to be worth it. I think it's a decision.
I think we might be able to see one of those vintage Max Payne just throw a right hand down the fucking middle and drop his ass finishes. I think we could.
Well, then $8,300 would be some of the best value on this card. Next up, at UFC 310, we got Cody Durden taking on Joshua Van with some of the biggest line movement we have seen on this card. Cody Durden opened at a plus 275 underdog, is still a dog, but only plus 130. That line tightened pretty quickly. Cody Durden, 17-6 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off a submission win over Matthew Schnell, taking on Joshua Van. 11-2 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5. He is coming off that bounce-back win over Edgar Chairez. Cody Durden, as we all know, is a pressure wrestler. He averages almost 5 takedowns per fight. He loves to come forward. He'll throw a bunch of big looping shots. He's got a little bit of power in there, and he'll shoot takedown after takedown after takedown. He will chain wrestle. He will adjust his patterns and his entries and ultimately get these fights to the ground. Once he's on the ground, he is working. He's raining down strikes. He's looking for submissions, and he's moving. Sometimes he's moving a little too much, can lose the position, which is why he is getting 5 takedowns per fight. You're not getting 5 if you have the control of a boring-ass Movsar Evloev. But you understand where I'm going with this. He's taking on Joshua Van, a very young kid at only 23 years old. So breaking him down is always tricky because he is improving at a much more rapid pace than most of the more established guys. He's a solid striker. He's got good aggression, a decent amount of power in there. His takedown and scramble skills are okay. Everything is improving from fight to fight, even though he is primarily a striker. He is good everywhere. He can grapple as well. He does a nice job looking for things in scrambles. So he's not usually going to come out with a grapple-heavy game plan, but if it's there, he'll go ahead and find it. He's coming off that bounce-back win over Edgar Chairez, where the offensive striking looked pretty good, but he looked like he lacked a little bit of confidence, right? He was coming off that knockout loss. He was almost finished in that fight with a spinning back fist. And that's kind of the problem here, is both of these guys are willing to slug it out. And both of them can be a bit chinny. They can both sort of deal with the consequences that come with slugging it out. So if we have two people that are going to Max Holloway their way through this fight and point to the ground and let their hands go, I probably trust Josh. But I trust Cody Durden and his fight IQ and his understanding of this sport and the veteran savvy to do what he's going to do. His best opportunity to win this fight is come forward, be aggressive as shit, set a high pace, get the takedowns, and work. For that reason, I am picking Cody Durden. I haven't bet on him quite yet. I've been watching the line. While it did tighten, a lot of that tightening happened a while ago, and he's jumping around between plus 130, plus 135. So I'll decide later if I'm going to pull the trigger on that. But I do think Cody Durden can win this fight, and it's just going to be pure aggression and nonstop wrestling pressure. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have kind of put this into the category of if Durden can wrestle, he wins. If he cannot get the wrestling going, he loses. And I think that is a big fucking mistake that people are going to be making, because a lot of people are going to convince themselves to take Joshua Van because they believe just he's a better striker. He's the better striker. And I think he's definitely the more technical striker. I think he is the more cleaner striker. If you watch both of these guys shadow box or spar from previous fights, you put them together, you're going to be like, oh yeah, Joshua Van is going to be the better striker. But this dude, Cody Durden, is fucking sneaky with the shots that he throws. And when he throws them correctly, he has fucking pistons in his fucking hands, and he hurts a lot of people. I always talk about Cody Durden as underrated power, and people without power are hurting Joshua Van. He got his clock cleaned by Charles Johnson, who doesn't really hurt hardly anybody. I think he hurt Hadley, but Hadley is what it is. He got dropped by Borjas in that last fight. As you mentioned, he got hurt again, and he's getting hurt in like just regular kind of punch combinations. I think Cody Durden, if he just keeps the shot straight and just trusts regular combinations, I think he can hurt this kid. So if I think he can hurt the kid on the feet and even go toe-to-toe in the strike, because Joshua Van doesn't have like crazy power. I mean, what kind of performance have you seen? I mean, he finishes like a Felipe Bunes or whatever, who isn't really like a UFC guy. Other than that, he's just kind of going tit for tat with people. It seems like he has power. He's not really like absolutely like killing people. So if I see Cody Durden as I think has a power advantage, I think he can hang in the striking, and he's going to have such an advantage in the wrestling if he wants to go there. I got to go with Cody Durden in this fight because Joshua Van as well, I don't think is a guy that defends takedowns. I think he's a guy that gets taken down, tries to hit switches, tries to sweep through for leg locks. He's a very confident, cocky kid on the feet and on the ground. If you get cocky on the ground against Cody Durden, you try to spin around, he's going to fucking grab your neck. You saw how quickly he grabbed that ninja choke versus Matt Schnell, and I have it on high authority. He came into that Matt Schnell fight short notice and was just kind of winging right hands, and like they're like, holy shit, is he going to be able to do this the whole fight? And he eventually was able to land some shots and then found that submission. But I have it on good authority that he is not going to be winging right hands. That was just a one-time thing. He knew he could hurt Matt Schnell, and I think he's going to be a little bit more measured. And if he comes in measured, I think he can hand and strike and get the takedowns and has an opportunity to dominate this fight.
Yeah, listen, we're both on the same side. Obviously, it's spectrum, and you're a little more confident than I am. I do think he needs to stick to a certain game plan, but I do think he gets it done. Somebody commented Durden is bigger. He is bigger. Right? Josh Van's not a big dude. He's not a big dude at all.
Durden was a 135er when he came into UFC. He fought Chris Gutierrez to a draw at 135.
Yeah, Joshua Van's not big. I think what happened with Joshua Van is he came in short notice against Zalgas Zumagulov and looked amazing in that fight. And a lot of people think this fight will look like that, a Bull Matador situation where he was defending trash takedowns and his hands looked amazing. Cody Durden has better takedowns than Zalgas Zumagulov.
I mean, he was like kind of walking down. A lot of Josh Van is being able to walk somebody down. And when you stand your ground, you saw Charles Johnson that third round because it was definitely a back and forth fight. I think it was even tied on some scorecards, whatever. I think maybe a judge had Charles Johnson down. I can't remember. But once Charles Johnson stood his ground and matched those combinations and sat on some shots, I mean, if Josh is not able to walk you down, he's not going to fucking walk down Cody Durden.
No, I completely agree with you. So we are on the same page here. Cody Durden, $7,700 in DraftKings Fantasy. Seems like a great price to me. A couple of takedowns, a little bit of control. That should bode well for us and our lineups. If you do want to check out all the picks, the bets, the tools, the round line leans, the artificial intelligence, and everything else, it's freaking $10. $10 a month. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top.
And what's kind of funny about Cody Durden, too, is if you look at obviously, he's got some good wins. Charles Johnson's been killing it. He beat Charles Johnson. Matt Schnell is what it is. But if you look at his losses, like that Jimmy Flick of random flying triangle, the Makayev was just a guillotine. Obviously, Makayev kind of cracked him, but
he got a takedown.
He was good on the shot, just kind of got caught in a guillotine. The Tagir, Ulanbekov, the toes in the fence, right? Get your toes out the fucking fence. He's basically just holding himself on the fence. That was a weird situation. And then Bruno Silva, he was beating the absolute fuck out of Bruno Silva and then just got caught a little bit, but...
Well, and Bruno hits like a freight train. We do have a $4.99 super chat from Brian Velasquez, week 3, trying to get Jacob on prize picks. He wants you to weigh in on the prize picks.
No.
All right, we'll see you for week 4. Brian with a Y. Next up at UFC 310, we have a moved fight. Chris Weidman versus Eryk Anders was supposed to happen at UFC 309, but Eryk Anders got food poisoning, didn't fight, and they moved it. That was at Madison Square Garden. My breakdown for that fight and this fight are going to be somewhat similar, but my pick is different. I have changed my pick, and I do put a lot of that into the fact that this is no longer at Madison Square Garden. Chris Weidman is the New York boy. That is his thing. That is his identity. Fighting at MSG was everything to him. His friends, his family, everybody. Now it's just a regular-ass Vegas card. And I just think that tiny little sliver of difference makes a tiny little bit of an adjustment. This fight is also a little different than the last fight because it is at a catch weight of 195 pounds instead of 185 pounds, which is what it should have been at their first go-around. And the final thing I'll mention is somebody commented, you never know what you can believe or know or trust in comment section. Actually, two things I'll mention. One, Chris Weidman is seemingly upset with the UFC. He was not paid his show money for UFC 309. Again, articles were written. I didn't see a video of him saying anything, but I'll trust the articles. He basically said something to the effect of, you had the purse in your budget. The fight didn't happen, but I made weight. I did everything. How come you get to keep that money and I don't?
Didn't they end up paying Wonderboy and he refused to the fight?
They did not pay Wonderboy.
I think they ended up giving him the money.
Not that much. They gave him a different amount. They gave him a lesser amount.
They still ended up paying for a guy that literally refused to fight and ended up kind of not ruining the card because of it. But, I mean, he literally refused to fight. And then Weidman was there. I mean, if you're giving Wonderboy a little bit of money, you should fucking pay Weidman.
I imagine Weidman was also getting a little bit of money. What the problem is, first of all, I see all sides of it. I understand he technically...
he's making what, like 200 grand, 250
that
grand?
That is the problem. Dude, that's a lot of money to give somebody who's not fighting. You know what I mean? You just gave someone $200-something thousand.
I mean, they're fucking publicly traded company. Let's see how much money they fucking made last year.
I don't disagree.
Come on.
I don't disagree with that statement. I'm just saying that's their side. Like, listen, you didn't fight, and I know it's show and win. You technically didn't show. The show is step foot in the octagon. So, anyway, I get it. The other point I was going to make is somebody commented, this I don't know if it's true or not, that Chris Weidman bumped into Eryk Anders in the lobby the next day, like Sunday. And
poked him in the stomach and he didn't shit. And he's like, I knew you were lying.
Essentially, yeah, that's literally essentially it. He feels that he might have been full of shit because he looked fine. And he had a teammate who also apparently got sick from food poisoning who did fight on the card. I don't put any credit into that, but fuck it. I threw it out here. Anyway, we got Chris Weidman, former world champion at 185 pounds. He was a Division I wrestler who used his wrestling for a good amount of his career and then slowly turned into a striker. He developed his hands. The hands looked pretty good, accomplished a couple of things in this sport, and then became more of a striker than a wrestler. He is 40. He is slowing down dramatically, but he did look much better in his last fight, which was the controversial eye pokes, than he did in the fight coming back after the leg split. Obviously, he broke his own leg into two pieces, came back a few years later, fought Brad Tavares, looked 75 years old. Then he came back one more fight since then, and he looked significantly better. He's taking on Eryk Anders. Eryk Anders does also have a Y in his name, like Bryan, who donated a couple of bucks earlier. But he is a beast of an athlete. Eryk Anders, a former Division I football player for one of the best football programs in the country. In fact, when he played, they were the best football program in the country. Yeah.
No more Saban and...
And he fights like somebody that you would expect to have been a high-level collegiate football player. He comes forward. He throws everything with intent. He pushes you around. He bullies you, and he fights like a man. He's almost never the more skilled guy in the octagon, but he makes up for just little tiny technique gaps with raw power, physicality, forward pressure, and manhood. I thought this was a very close fight the first time it was booked. I picked Chris Weidman as a dog the first time this was booked. But I think removing Madison Square Garden from the equation, removing some of the other components from the equation, I think Eryk Anders, that slight difference, I think Eryk Anders will win this fight. And now he is the underdog. Chris Weidman's flipped to a full-blown favorite, and I don't know what changed. So I'm going with Eryk Anders here. I did flip my pick, but as I have mentioned many, many times, picks and bets are not the same, and all picks are not the same. We broke down Chase Hooper earlier. I said he should be a minus 1,000. I'm picking Eryk Anders here. You think I have the same confidence in him as I did Chase Hooper? No, of course not. But I do think Eryk can get it done. The physicality, and the other components are going to be the difference here. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, obviously that last breakdown that we did before 309, I don't want to say high on Chris Weidman, but I did have money on Chris Weidman, and it was for the reasons that you mentioned. I thought it was going to be a close back and forth fight, that Chris Weidman was going to be able to pressure just enough out of rounds to be able to win those rounds in his hometown and be able to win a decision. I was just kind of banking on that hometown. I mean, we've seen it all the time in situations like that. So I threw a little bit of money, nothing crazy, but I thought at even odds, that is what it's going to be. And then, a couple weeks go by, you start looking at the fight a little bit different. Eryk Anders features me as a voiceover in his highlight film, and honestly, I've kind of fallen in love with his story. If you guys did not know, he came out, I think before 309. I think I missed it somehow. That I think it was this year, he's like a year sober for the first time, that he's just kind of been silently struggling with addiction issues, with like actual drugs and stuff, even throughout his fight career. And he's been a sober for a year now, and he feels like he kind of lost his, the prime, and I want to throw words as fish for what I remember, but kind of he feels like he was kind of robbed of what his prime should have been because of his addiction issues. But he still wants to make a name for himself, right? He still wants to be that guy and show, like, with all this stuff behind me, this is how I can perform. And I think coming in Las Vegas and maybe getting some more hate because he had to pull off at 309, he's going to be a little bit more motivated. I think he's strong enough to kind of withstand their Weidman pressure, even at a catch weight. I think that helps a big guy like Anders even more, and I think he's just going to be able to out-physical Weidman on his way to a decision win. So I like his story, and I'm switching my pick, and I even put money on him.
There we go. Jakey boy and I have completely flipped the pick from the last time we broke this fight down, and that is the fight game. $8,000 in DraftKings Fantasy, $8,200. I do think this can be a sloppy back and forth. Like, this might look like Chris Weidman versus Brad Tavares, or Chris versus in his last fight with the double eye pokes against Bruno Silva.
And he is due for some karma, Weidman.
Because of the double eye pokes?
That's a real thing.
Well, and he snapped Anderson Silva's leg in half and then had his own leg snapped in half. So maybe he gets eye poked to all hell. If you do want to check out all the picks, the bets, the round line leans, the tools, and more, WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's only $10 to get you through the rest of this year. Can't beat that value. Next up, at UFC 310, one of the more debated fights on this card. A fight that a lot of people feel is a trap. A lot of people were up in arms, so much so that I actually am getting more and more confident on the other side. You know how that goes. The public decides that this is the best dog in the world. These odds are crazy. And then the world says, the fight game says, yeah, no, you guys are stupid. The odds were correct the whole time. But we have Randy Brown taking on Bryan Battle. Randy Brown, 19-5 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5. He is on a nice 3-fight win streak, taking on Bryan Battle, 11-2 in his career, 3-1-1 in his last 5. He is coming off an incredible in-cage speech where he was in France and just kind of shit on the French people. Randy Brown's a very good striker, a very good striker. He's super long and he uses that range well. He takes advantage of those opportunities and of those tools. He has long jabs, long kicks, he'll keep you at bay. And then when he's ready, he will use some speed to initiate more closed distance boxing exchanges. He has 9 takedowns in the UFC, and while he doesn't use them very often, he'll have some trips, some uchimatas, and then jiu-jitsu on the mat. He's good. He's a lot of fun to watch, and he's coming off that decision win over Elijah Zaleski, where he did get taken down 4 times, but the striking game was so good, none of that even mattered. He's taking on Bryan Battle. This guy is a dog of a fighter. He comes forward, heavy pressure, throws some bombs, tries to make it happen, is not afraid of a fist fight. He's constantly pressuring, constantly working towards something. We have seen a solid ground game out of him. We've seen that he's never out of a fight. He averages only 1 takedown per fight, and he does have a miserable 28% takedown accuracy, but he's got plenty of cardio and plenty of pace to try to force things to the ground. Famously, he was 300-something pounds, made his debut at heavyweight, got knocked out cold, and then said, this is pathetic. I need to change my life. And he did. He went from 300-something pounds to 170 pounds, and he did it without Ozempic, which is why we don't have a ton of wild, ridiculous, loose skin. This is a guy that physically looks better in every single fight, a guy whose skills look better in every single fight. The problem, though, is while Bryan Battle is impressive, and I have never picked a Bryan Battle fight incorrectly, this is his best opponent. At least his best opponent that he can beat. Renat Fakhretdinov beat him, and I saw that one coming.
I wasn't laughing at you.
I was going to say, I didn't say anything laughable.
I have a quote. Hopefully I remember for a fight later on. That's so funny.
The problem with Bryan Battle is there are still some holes there. And while he's on a streak and he's starting to feel himself, he does get hit. Kevin Gisette hit him a shit ton. Kevin just doesn't hit very hard, but he hit him a ton. Randy Brown hits very hard. Randy Brown has a ton of speed and accuracy. And Randy Brown, if he connects as often or with the same shots that Kevin Gisette did, Randy Brown can be a problem for Bryan Battle. I am still picking Bryan Battle. I think he gets it done. You really can't continue to doubt somebody who's improving the way he's improving, who is showing us he's not afraid to fight. He's not afraid to come forward. He's not afraid to make it ugly. And while Randy Brown is going to be the more technical fighter, I think almost in every single aspect of this sport, Bryan's just got a little more dog in him. And I think that forward pressure, the closing of the gap, the staying in his face may frustrate Randy, who might not let his hands go. Jakey boy, a known Bryan Battle hater. What do you think?
Yeah, it was a very loud, outspoken Bryan Battle hater, and it was never his personality, right? That he's become definitely in the last fight or two. It was just the way he fought. I just thought that he was an overrated striker. I thought that he relied too much on his jiu-jitsu. I called him a jiu-jitsu nerd, and I thought that when he got in trouble, he defaulted that too much. And then he's evolved into the fighter he's became, and it's like, holy shit, this guy is tough as fucking shit. He is, I think what the last fight showed more than anything is the adjustments that his corner can make, which I think is a fantastic thing to know about a fighter, that if something is not working, they will make adjustments, right? I think the game plan for that Juice fight was probably to wrestle, right? Take him down. You saw the takedown attempts, right?
Out heavy,
and he came out, and it wasn't really working. So boom. Okay, second round starts. Let me just get in his face and fucking just outbox him. So they made that adjustment. That honestly is, you can't trust a lot of fucking corners to do that these days. But Bryan Battle has a good corner with him, and in this fight, he might need to make adjustments, right? Maybe in the first round, the length of Randy Brown is getting to him, and he can't. Okay, let's make that adjustment. Now we can go to the wrestling, the grappling. And if he goes to the ground, Bryan Battle is very good there. So I like seeing that he has a corner that can make adjustments, because as he starts moving to the rankings, game plans aren't going to work, right? And it's whatever you can do after that. It's just like a football game, right? You have your first scripted drive, and it's like, okay, now you actually have to you have to play the game now. It's not scripted anymore. And I like Bryan Battle. I think his toughness here, I think he's got a grappling advantage on the ground if he wants to take it there. And Randy Brown of the two guys has been the more chinny guy. So if they start getting each other's face and throwing, I know Randy Brown's got power too, but I kind of trust Bryan Battle's chin, a little bit more. So I've been a Bryan Battle hater. I am fully on board. I will say right now, to finish it off, there is not a chance in hell, Angelo, that the universe will allow Bryan Battle to fucking lose after that speech that he gave. It just doesn't work out, right? You cut the promo, and then the WWE doesn't have you losing your next fight after you cut a world fucking famous promo that everybody saw and loves. There is not a chance the universe lets Bryan Battle lose after that fucking promo. That thing was, I listened to that, and I was like, oh, I love Bryan Battle now.
What did he say? I'm not going to lose to a Frenchman in a fist fight?
And his voice is like this, too.
Yeah.
You think I was going to lose to a French dude?
Did he call him a pussy?
I can't remember.
I thought he said something aggressive in a fist
with
fight
the gold
in
chains,
France. Yeah, in France.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. He's a good dude.
It was an unbelievable post-fight speech. But listen, I'm picking Bryan Battle here, but I saw somebody in the comments, and I don't necessarily disagree with this, where, hey, if Bryan Battle lets his ego take over and he comes forward, thinks he's invincible, he's on this win streak, dude, Randy Brown does have the power, does have the accuracy.
Guy. Randy Brown's the guy that lands one jab and he starts doing this in front of your face and doing the Ali shuffle.
That's more showman than ego. Bryan Battle might just march forward,
ego.
Chin up.
Ego.
Well, either way, we are on the Bryan Battle side. $8,700 in DraftKings Fantasy. Listen, it's going to be interesting because he has looked like that, right? We're not seeing a lot of boring Bryan Battle decision wins. So he has looked like an $8,700 fighter in pretty much every single fight. This one will be interesting. I am looking forward to it. I'm undecided with my DraftKings Fantasy lineup, even though the pick has been decided. If you want to check out not only my pick and Jacob's picks, but Artem's picks, the artificial intelligence, all of our bets, the round line leans. The tools and more. WeWantPicks.com. Click become a member at the top.
All right, let me read this quote because I was going to wait till the fight, but I'll probably forget, and I just want to read it now. So this is this is Kron Gracie, and this is like the epitome of fucking Kron Gracie. That dude doesn't give a fuck. He was asked about the placement on the card because a lot of people are pissed that he's on the main card, like Aljo and Evloev are not on the main card. So he's like, they asked him about that or whatever. This is the quote. He started off by saying, like, I don't really care, basically. Like, it is what it is. And then he said, but I think that the placement of the fight is not of is wait, but I think the placement of the fight is kind of not the most important thing, and I don't really care where I'm at on the card. The sooner the better, really. I get to go on with my life after that.
Yeah, it sounds like a guy who's going to fight his ass off.
The sooner the better so I can get on with my life is what he's
this
saying.
dude's just trying to get out of his contract. This dude's fighting his last fight in his contract so he can just be fucking done.
Dude, I read that and I was like, I read that and I go, uh-oh.
Yeah, exactly. And you've been pretty high on that Muppet this whole time. Next up at UFC 310, we do have a fight that is in a weird spot on this card because I promise you right now, this is not going to be a fun fight. It's not going to be an exciting fight. It's going to be a very straightforward, one-sided, one-dimensional fight. But this fight matters very much for the division, and I am of the mindset that pay-per-view fights need to be meaningful fights, and this is far more meaningful than a few of the fights on that pay-per-view main card. Movsar Evloev is undefeated, ranked in this division, fighting a former world champion who is undefeated at this new weight class. This is an important fight. This is a very big fight, whether it is boring or not. Movsar Evloev undefeated at 18-0, and he somehow has more decisions wins than he has fights total. He's taking on Aljamain Sterling, 24-4 in his career. He has 4-1 in his last 5. He is coming off a successful featherweight debut. Movsar Evloev is an absolute decision machine. He's going to move forward. He's got good striking, good technical striking, and he'll use that striking to set up takedowns. He keeps his punches long. He manages range really well, and then he will close the distance, get to the legs, and get it to the ground. He lowers his level, and he shoots very real takedowns. He'll set things up, right? He'll get you to step. He'll shuck your head, but they're real takedowns, not boring cage control trips. Actual takedowns. He has 38 takedowns in 8 UFC fights. He is coming off that one-sided win over Arnold Allen, where there were some controversial knees, but ultimately he did nothing wrong and they were perfectly legal regardless of what Arnold Allen thought. He's taking on former world champion Aljamain Sterling, a backpack grappler, as they call him. And that's because if he can get a fight to the ground, he just climbs on your back and hangs out there. Doesn't submit everybody, doesn't submit a ton of people, but he does get on that back and he does rack up control time. He's like an extra layer of skin. Over time, he has developed his own striking style. It's not the prettiest. It's not the most clean of techniques, but it is unique. It is different. It is unorthodox, and it is his style. He is coming off the dominant grappling win over Calvin Kattar in his featherweight debut. And I love Aljamain Sterling. I genuinely like Aljamain Sterling. I have right here his Funk Harbor rum. I haven't tried it yet. You can see it's fully sealed. But I do have his rum here.
Open it and take a swig.
I'm not going to do that right now.
Open it and take a swig.
Maybe
and give us a live review, please.
Maybe a little later.
This is what we call content farming, Angelo. This is where you do something on stream that we can
I had
later.
something planned already, and all right, I'll take the swig because I'm going to be done talking.
Here we go.
Don't smell it.
Here we go.
I smelled it. Oh, God, dude, it doesn't.
Oh, take a swig out the... Don't...
Wait,
what
here,
are you...
listen
come
to,
on.
listen
No,
to the pour.
do a swig out the fucking bottle, dude. Come on. Don't pour it back in. Come on.
What the fuck am I supposed to do?
Take a swig out the fucking bottle. Just swig it.
Label out. Oh, shit, that's not bad. Funk Harbor. That's legit good.
Is it?
I don't like rum. That's legit good. Holy shit. I didn't see that. I changed my pick.
I'm not a
Dude,
rum
I
guy,
hate rum.
especially
That's
Jamaican
not
rum.
bad. Holy shit, dude. I'm not exaggerating. Listen, I just took a swig of this, not expecting to. No chaser, nothing beforehand. That was not bad, dude. That was genuinely good.
Hashtag
Who do you think wins this fight? Oh, I didn't even finish. Movsar Evloev wins. Movsar Evloev. Listen, apparently he makes very good rum.
Take another swig.
No, I'm not getting
Take
blackout
one more
drunk.
swig. One more swig. If it's good, you would like to take one more.
Can we get sponsored? I'll switch my pick,
I go
Aljamain.
gloop gloop. I want to hear gloop gloop.
Dude, an energy drink sponsor and an alcohol sponsor. The only
I want
two
to hear
things
gloop
that would
gloop.
really.
Not just gloop. I want to hear gloop gloop.
There was multiple. Movsar dominates this fight. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Honestly, the only thing probably smoother than that rum, Angelo, was your pick, right? You know, that's a smooth transition from a nice, smooth Jamaican rum available now nationwide, right? You can get at Funk Harbor, AljamainSterling.com, the Funk Master, right? And we love to support our fighters and their endeavors and whatever they do. And good luck to Aljo. After his fighting career is over, I hope this does take off. I hope it is as good. I don't really like rum, but I hope it is as good as Angelo says. Because Aljo has hinted at, I'm going to keep fighting. We're going to see how far we're going to go, 145. And then once I lose, I'm probably going to be done. Right, you think Movsar Evloev is thinking, if I lose, I'll probably just be done and go buy my fucking rum or whatever. There's nothing wrong with Aljo doing that. You're supposed to set yourself up for the future, and if he's fighting and he's winning, I understand. Aljo is one of the most down-to-earth people, and you cannot label me as an Aljo hater because I picked him against Piotr on the first time. I doubled down and picked him again the second time. I did pick Sean O'Malley as my lock of the week for him, but that was a pretty good call. I don't know how Evloev loses this fight. I don't think Aljo's going to get the takedowns. Even if he does, I don't think it's going to be a backpack situation. Evloev is just too good on the ground, and I think his striking is crazy, crazy underrated.
It's very good, yes.
If he just keeps it standing, he can dominate, but I think he can get some takedowns, some control as well. Obviously, Aljo's a little bit more offensive, but you saw even against a dangerous Diego Lopez is Evloev. He got a little bit of issue, but he didn't panic.
It was an arm bar, right?
Yeah,
or
a knee bar? A knee bar at the very end. He doesn't panic in the situation. He knows what to do. He knows how to stay safe. But if he just keeps it striking, I think he has an opportunity. This guy is too good to have so many fucking decisions. He's going to finish somebody eventually. He's too good.
He's not finishing Aljo.
And it could very easily be a TKO situation on Aljamain Sterling. He's got more power in his hand. His kicks are crazy too. Evloev's kicks are really, really good. I just don't see how he loses. And I'm willing to look stupid, right? I've loaded the boat on him. He is my most popular pick. I probably have more on him than anybody in the fucking year, and I'm comfortable with where I'm at.
Yeah, listen, and Movsar Evloev is so good that he had me thinking Diego Lopez sucked for Diego's next two fights. Literally, I'd be like, Movsar. That's how good Movsar is. And now Diego Lopez is they're saying he should fight for a title next and not Volk. So, and he smoked Diego. Like, okay, he got in a couple of tight submissions while on top. Way through. Striking's good, wrestling's good. Unfortunately for Aljo, not going to happen. This rum is good, though. $8,900 in DraftKings Fantasy. That is where this becomes a problem. He is a decision machine. No.
Come on, just one more.
No, because then it's going to be and then I'm
because
fucking slurring my words. And the last
fool me
pay-per-view
once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. We just need 3 to really lock it down. Well, it could be Aljo's last fight. Yeah, it could be Aljo's last fight. Just say one more swig and
no. You only fooled me. You only fooled me once because I took the first one willingly. The second one,
you could 2 of them. You could be like, but pretend it was good. But on the third one, we're gonna know because you already know the first 2. There's been a little bit of a break.
Listen. I'll be honest with you. I had a drinking game established with the community that I mentioned I was going to do during the Quick Picks video. That's why this is even out. And I'm not going to tell you what that drinking game is.
Stuff when every time I interrupt or something, take a drink or
I'm not going to tell you
when he starts singing. I can just watch the Quick Pick video.
Okay, it's going to be quite the one.
Let's just ruin it.
So we'll see how that goes.
Just do it right now. Start right now.
Start what? The drinking game?
Yeah,
it's been started. Just haven't had the drink yet.
Oh.
Okay. You're not going to figure it out. And it may not even happen. And if it doesn't happen, I'll take another shot for good measure. for good measures. That's crispy
If
pizza
I say
on
the
TikTok.
N-word or something?
Could be. Go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it. Let's see. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Dude, you say that.
Ready?
I'm just taking shots.
Ready?
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 Strap
You
it.
ready?
That's like that. That's not Shane Gillis. Who says that? Ready?
It sounds like him. He's
Yeah,
like,
but it's
I don't
not
think
him,
I've ever heard anybody say that. You ready?
Yeah, he goes, nobody's ever, I forget, there's a black comedian. He's like, no one's ever called me the N-word. The other goes like, ready? Whoa. Anyway, no, that wasn't it. We'll get there.
So they all know. They're not ruining it either. I'm trying to like not to look at the chat just about.
Not only, I said it in 2 different quick pick videos, and I said, don't fucking be snitch loser bitches.
Yeah, I have
this
no
could be
idea.
fun.
Yeah, I have
so
no
good
idea.
for, hey, you guys are not the snitch losers I thought you were. It's about 30,000 views between those 2 videos, and nobody snitched. That's great.
I don't want to. I'm not even going to look at the chat.
Nobody's saying what it is. And see, Eryk says we're not snitches. Of course, we all know.
The only thing the only thing that's fucking me up right now is I saw one comment that said he was close earlier.
I promise you that comment has nothing to do with this.
So now I think that I was close to doing something.
If we get past the point where it's a possibility, I'll tell you what it is. You're never gonna guess it.
Is it
You're never
something I
gonna
do that's going to trigger you to do something?
Yes, correct. But you may not do it. We'll figure it out. Don't you worry. Strap in, boys. If you're watching live, keep watching. Next up,
What if I say, "Oh, Billy"? No, that's not.
No, you've done all that.
I haven't said it today.
Yes, you did.
I did not.
You said it several times earlier. Next up, at UFC 310, we have Vicente Luque taking on Themba Gorimbo. Vicente Luque.
Whoa!
You're never going to get it. Stop that shit right now. 22-10 in his career. 2-3 in his last 5. He is coming off that finish loss to Joaquin Buckley. No, it's not that. That's a good one. No. It's a themed one. And it's not just some random if Jacob does bullshit. It's themed. Taking on Themba Gorimbo, 14-4 in his career. 4-1 in his last 5 on a 4-fight win streak. This fight is a little bit of a switcheroo. Themba Gorimbo stepping up on short notice. Vicente Luque was already on this card. He was supposed to fight Nick Diaz, and obviously that footage of Nick Diaz lighting whatever on fire on the side of the curb with no shirt on, looking like a crackhead, came to light, and he's magically off this card, and Vicente Luque has a new opponent. But that didn't stop Themba Gorimbo from being the favorite here. Vicente Luque, pretty good, pretty well-rounded fighter overall. He's got power in his hands. He's got solid wrestling defense. Good wrestling offense, as we saw in that RDA fight. 62% takedown defense seems low, but as I mentioned many, many times, if you remove the Bilal Muhammad fight from the equation, all of a sudden his takedown defense is absolutely phenomenal. Vicente Luque, at one point in time, was flying to the top, going to fight for a title, at least talks in it. Then he got taken down a million times by Bilal Muhammad, and since then he has not been the same. Literally had a brain bleed after fighting Jeff with a G, Neal, and he is coming off that TKO loss to Joaquin Buckley, where he had a really hard time finding that range. Taking on Themba Gorimbo, a long-distance striker who manages range really well. He picks his shots really well as well. He'll keep you at bay and then crowd and work from there. He's typically a counter striker, but he will charge if he finds some openings. Solid takedown defense. He's just going to widen his base, pressure your head, and now all of a sudden he's turned into an... You're not listening to my quick picks, are you, to try to find it? Don't do that.
I'm not. I'm on Twitter.
Okay.
I'm just sitting here trying to think. I'm like, is it something that I do?
You're
like
never
going to
I promise you, you're never going to guess it.
Is it something I do every stream?
I'm done answering the questions.
Just yes or no? Do I do
If
it
it
every
happens,
stream?
it happens. If we get to the...
That's one.
I'm not answering that question. Because if I say yes, you're just going to do all the annoying shit you do.
I'm trying
and
to
if I
think.
say no, you're like, that's it. I shouldn't have said a word. I only said it to get you to shut the fuck up without trying to get me to drink more. So just wait. If it happens, it happens. Okay. Just the fucking... Why that pissed them off? I'm about done with my breakdown too, so hopefully he comes back. Anyway, Themba Gorimbo has turned into a wrestler as of late. 17 takedowns in 5 UFC
Was
fights.
that it?
Why did you... No, that wasn't it. I thought I pissed you off. I'm like, what the fuck?
No, I thought that was it.
No, that wasn't it. Themba should win here, right? He's turned into a nasty wrestler as of late. Vicente can be taken down. It's not that either. Vicente is a very good fighter. At one point in time, was a great fighter. And as Jacob pointed out earlier today, is the younger fighter in this matchup. But I don't think it matters, right?
Is it the little Coke cans?
No, dude. You're never going to guess. That's why instead of going crazy, just do what you do.
I'm not even looking at the chat. I just have everything. I've isolated
myself. The chat
myself
is not
now.
going to tell you. They're not going to tell you. It turns out they're not stitches. They're not snitches. Vicente Luque does lose this fight, unfortunately. Although he is the better fighter, he's just... And the younger fighter, as we pointed out, 33... do I have the age wrong? Themba Gorimbo was older here. Is it 33 or 34, something like that?
By 8 months.
Okay. He's just like 56 in fight years. He did not look good in his last fight. He had the brain bleed a few fights ago. Vicente Luque, unfortunately, is not who he used to be. And Themba Gorimbo coming out here, long as hell, using that length, wrestle heavy, could have some success here. What do you think, Jakey boy?
I believe in my heart of hearts that I love Themba Gorimbo. Right, I think everyone is a big fan of Themba at this point. He's been featured on the Embedded this week. He's such a nice dude. He's been my lock of the week before. I think it's one of his first fights. I even sent him a message after his lock of the week. It was a couple of years ago. And I was like, "You're my lock of the week," and he responded. He was a super nice guy about it. He probably should win this fight. There's a couple people on this card where it's like, probably should, right? Because Vicente Luque, as you mentioned, hasn't looked the best, right? That Buckley fight was definitely a very bad look because not only did he basically quit, he basically kind of admitted to quitting and then didn't even act like he really cared about the quitting situation. He was just like, yeah, my bad. Whoops. Try to get him next time. And it's like, dude, you can't fucking... People work their entire lives to get in that position. You just turtle up and just fucking the fight's over. It's like that's unfair to everyone else that's working hard as well. But you look at the Instagram post and it seems like he's locked back in, right? He's got a new hairdo, he grew the beard out, all the midlife crisis type stuff. And if these guys are head to head and these guys are skill for skill, Vicente is the better fighter. I mean, I think he's the cleaner striker. He's more adaptive to kind of every situation, whether getting wrestled or counter wrestling. And I've always said about Themba, as much as I love Themba, and he is relentless, and if there's one person between the two of these that I know is going to give 100%, it's going to be Themba. He does get sloppy. And if you guys start getting sloppy, especially in the grappling against a guy like Vicente, it could be bad fucking news. So, I'm going with who I believe is the better fighter, and I'm just going to hope that he shows up. I'm going against Themba here. I am picking Vicente Luque. I don't have any money on him, but Saturday we might.
All right. I'm going to update the website because you just didn't put that pick on the website for some reason, so I'll do it for you. Oh, you did. It's Pick GPT that didn't do it. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry about that. I apologize.
Take a drink.
No.
There it was.
That
the
wasn't
first
what it
time
was.
I make a mistake because I never make mistakes.
I'll take a drink. That has nothing to do with the drinking game. I will take a drink because I was wrong and that was rude. Somebody said, why does he dip his head when he takes the drink? So you can hear the go. Look, here, listen.
You can hear it when you're back there, too. Ooh, a little double dip there, huh? And you get
Smooth.
Everybody in the club get tips.
I don't have dinner either. Listen, I don't
Everybody
hate...
in the club get tips. Everybody in the club get tips. Everybody in the club get tips.
Okay. I don't hate that breakdown. Vicente is the better fighter, but he hasn't looked like the better fighter as of late. So that is why I am on the other side. Jakey Boy and I completely split here. $7,600 in DraftKings Fantasy, $8,600. The only way Themba's worth that $8,600 if he looks like the Nurmagomedov that he has in his last couple of fights, which he may. And if he does, he's absolutely worth that money. But as I said many times before breaking down this fight, Vicente Luque is by far the best fighter that Themba Gorimbo has fought. It's not even close. So does he pass the test? We'll find out. I don't have any bets here either. But if you do want to check out all the other bets, 18 units of bets on the board right now. WeWantPicks.com. Click become a member at the top. It's freaking $10. Do not be a cheap bastardo. 499 Super Chat from Who's Watching What? Love you guys. Keep being the best in the game. F what the haters say. No one comes close. That's just cold hard facts. My man, pots and pans. And I agree with you. We are the best at this. Well, I appreciate you very much, genuinely.
I put the that Kron quote on Twitter. The first 3 replies are, "He sounds super pumped to be there." The next one is, "I love to know an athlete is stoked to finally be back in action after a long layoff." And then the next one says, "Sounds like a real scrapper. Hammer away, little red."
Yeah, see, sometimes the internet has a sense of humor, and they're not all just fucking dweebs. Sometimes they are all dweebs. Next up.
If you do the right thing, Jacob, you can make Angie drink the entire bottle.
Well, if he figures it out and starts taking advantage, I'll probably be done with it. Next up, at UFC 310, we got Anthony Smith taking on Dominick Reyes in the featured prelim of the evening. Anthony Smith, 37-20 in his career. 2-3 in his last 5 years, alternating wins and losses. Taking on Dominick Reyes, 13-4 in his career. 1-4 in his last 5 years, coming off the first win in 5 years. And I will let that settle in. Dominick Reyes is coming off of his first win in 5 years. And yet, he was a minus 330 favorite against a pretty active former title challenger himself. Anthony Smith is at the tail end of his career, also working towards a desk job. But he's a good striker. He's got good hands, solid kicks. We also know he's got good jiu-jitsu. He's got submissions over several high-ranked fighters. He's incredibly tough, arguably too tough for his own good. And because he has taken some beatings in his career is going to be shorter than most. He can still be competitive. He just had a competitive fight a little while ago. He's coming off that short notice loss to Roman Dolidze, taking on Dominick Reyes. As I mentioned, first win in 5 years, but before that wild losing skid, he was a former title challenger. A lot of people think he beat John Jones. Even Dana White thinks he beat John Jones. But since that title loss, he's been knocked out several times. He is big. He's long. He's primarily a striker. Okay power, clean technique. He's got 2 takedowns in the UFC with a very low 28% takedown accuracy, but the takedown defense is solid at 80%. He just beat Dustin Jacoby, and now the whole world thinks he's back, and he's worth this price point. And Anthony Smith sucks. Anthony Smith is washed. Blah, 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 blah. I understand. I understand that Dominick Reyes is very big, and Anthony Smith is just a shell of who he once was and is literally arguing with fighters inside of a cage saying crazy things. I understand all of that. But I still think Anthony Smith can pull this off. Anthony Smith has been active. Anthony Smith is a pretty durable guy. I don't see Anthony Smith getting slept with one random punch in 30 seconds like Dominick Reyes just did in his last fight. Dominick Reyes is also very chinny himself. Pretending he's not chinny is kind of a crazy thing to do. This is a perfect matchup. This matchup makes a lot of sense. 2 older guys at the tail end of their career. One of them has 1 win in 5 years. The other one working towards a desk job. I'm going to pick Anthony Smith because he has been more active. He has more high-level experience. Anthony Smith has better wins than Dominick Reyes does. But again, not all picks are the same. I am not picking Anthony Smith with any level of meaningful confidence. Somebody had the nuts to post in a Reddit forum somewhere. I really like Angelo. He's a ton of fun. I love his hard work, but I can't believe he picked Anthony Smith with high confidence. That was literally the comment. When I have given this exact speech, I have ranted and raved for over 10 minutes talking about I'm not confident in this pick. So for Christ's sake, listen to the damn words. Anthony Smith is the pick with insanely low confidence. If it's on a 50%, 49%, 51%. Anthony Smith is going to be the pick. I think the insane love for Dominick Reyes is a bit wild. What do you think, Jakey Boombalots?
I believe that... I'm losing my fucking mind, dude. I'm losing my fucking mind over here trying to figure this shit out. I don't know what the fuck is happening, what I'm supposed to do.
Nothing. Just be normal.
I need a fucking...
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's Jacob is normal.
Whoa.
Why don't you go ahead and break this down?
Yeah, so, these are two great fighters, right? I mean, tough guys, been around the game. Obviously, Anthony Smith, his resume speaks for itself. He's beat some guys, lost some guys, but he's always in there, right? He's the nickname Lionheart for a reason. Dominick Reyes, everyone knows, went toe-to-toe with the greatest of all time, John Jones, in that memorable light heavyweight matchup years ago. A lot of people thought that he won that fight. Hard telling, but John Jones is known as the GOAT up until this point where Tom Aspinall is probably going to smoke him, but that's besides the point. I think that Dominick Reyes should win this fight. He should have the striking. If he brings in his former game plans into this matchup, I think he should have all the success in the world. What I do worry about is, if you watch that last fight versus Dustin Jacoby, he seemed a little uncomfortable to me. And I know that he was able to find that shot that hurt Jacoby and then land follow-up shots to win that fight, but he was getting pressure. He was against the fence, and he just kind of was winging shit against the fence. He didn't look real comfortable to me. So if you're trusting a guy like Dominick Reyes, minus 300, minus 350 at this point, whatever the odds end up being, more power to you. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. I think he should win the fight.
No, I'm kidding. Okay, awkward pause is not part of the drinking game. $7,100 in DraftKings Fantasy versus $9,100. The problem with this pricing is anything can happen. Literally anything can happen.
So I like Dominick Reyes.
Stupid fuck. Anything can happen. Anthony Smith could squeak out a decision. He could also get smoked. Dominick Reyes could get smoked, as we've seen many times before. I'm not going to touch it with DraftKings Fantasy. I am going to be rooting for Anthony Smith just for a big fuck you idiots for everybody that lost their minds over a low confidence pick, because people don't have general understandings about scale and confidence levels. Everybody treats all things equal, and it makes no damn sense. If you do want to unlock all the picks, the bets, the tools, the round line leans, and more, that might be it. No, I'm not going to say any more. Unlock everything. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's freaking $10 for an entire month, and if we haven't proven the value yet, I don't know what will. $4.99 super chat from Mike
Mom,
Ox
bananas. Mom, we're out of bananas.
Mall. Is Ginger Boy going live Saturday? Also, Ginger Boy, your predictions on Kopylov versus Curtis, and if you're going to that card, be ready to catch Chris's head. You see this comment? There's a question to you. Two questions to you.
Are you going live on Saturday? Probably not. Also, and I don't know who he's talking to after that.
Well, you answered the first question. That was also addressed to Ginger Boy. So I think you used the context clues correctly. Figured it out. Are you a ginger?
Nope.
Okay. Can we move on now? No, that's not it either.
Wait, like honey dicking me about this thing or something?
I sure am. And if you want some honey dick money, go to WeWantPicks.com/bet. Sign up with any one of our partners using our link. Make a deposit. We send you $50 as a thank you. You got to use the link. That's how affiliate marketing works. Then you got to make an account, make a deposit. We then verify that you used our link and made that deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you. They're going to pay us, so then we are going to pay you. You can then use that money to unlock premium membership. We have 18 units on the board just between these two cards, between UFC 310 and UFC Tampa. 18 units as of right now. There are obviously more bets coming. It is still very early in the week, so you can unlock those on premium membership. You can take a look at the last 5 pay-per-views that Big Ange absolutely smoked with a 37% ROI. What?
It's not even a real thing.
Okay. You can unlock the
drinking
data.
Game is not even a real thing. That's invented. You're fucking with me thinking that there's a game that you're playing, but the game doesn't exist. And the chat can't spoil it because there's nothing to spoil. They don't know because you made it up in that moment, saying, oh, we've been talking about it for weeks. There's a drinking game. Because there was no, you were not going to incorporate a game until I started making you, and then you came up with it on the spot.
And I just randomly had this and a shot glass. Just randomly had it. Just randomly.
I got it. I know I got it.
Okay.
I know I got it.
can
got his ass.
You can unlock all of the picks, the bets, and the tools. One of those tools is the data analyzer. There is no tool more valuable, more informative, and more important going into a break than the data analyzer, because that is preloaded well into 2025. All of those fights, all those fight cards. If you're here and not a casual, and you're trying to beat those lines and get ahead of the curve, get ahead of the research,
Dan.
this tool is going to do it. No. Opening up the UFC 310 fight card, the main card, the pay-per-view card, is a controversial fight. And it's not controversial in the fight itself or the matchup or the potential outcome. It's controversial because this is the fight a lot of people, me included, are saying should not be on the main card. This will be an absolute banger. This will be a ton of fun, potentially fight of the night. But to me, main pay-per-view cards are a sacred thing. They're reserved for the most meaningful fights on the card. This should be swapped with Movsar, Evloev, and Aljamain Sterling.
Give me a fucking break, dude.
I will not give you a break. I do feel very strongly that that fight should be on the main card and not this one. But it is what it is. And we've got Nate Landwehr, who is very exciting, taking on Choi. Nate the Train, 18-5 in his career. 4-1 in his last 5. He is coming off that knockout win over Jamal Emmers.
San Antonio! Take a look at his bicep. That's what he said.
Choi. The Syrian Superboy. Oh, God. The alcohol's hitting me. The Korean Superboy. 15-4 in his career. 1-3-1 in his last 5. He is coming off that knockout win over Bill Algeo. Nate the Train, super exciting. I actually shared a card with him. We shared a locker room with him back in the day. He fought on the same card as Nicholas Newell, one-arm fighter I used to manage. And I say used to because he doesn't fight anymore, but so I guess still manage. And in the XFC. And Nate the Train was on the card, and that dude is as wild in real life as you would expect him to be.
Man, he's smooth in Tennessee, man. He's just a good old Tennessee boy.
And that's where this fight was. It was in Knoxville.
Tennessee.
This was in Knoxville, Tennessee, and Nate Landwehr showed up, and that dude was as entertaining as you expect him to be. Salt of the earth.
Mama ain't raised no bitch.
Knee high to a grasshopper. Nate Landwehr is a wild man. He fights like a wild man.
By 4th of July. You know what that is?
No.
You don't know what's supposed to be elephant eyes by 4th of July?
No, what?
Man, you might want to take that fucking hat off or something. Is that a buck on that hat? What is that?
A fucking reindeer. It's a Christmas hat. Sorry. Idiot. Nate Landwehr's wild. He fights wild. He moves forward. All pressure. Sets a crazy pace, never stops, wrestles his ass off, shoots a ton of takedowns, will swing wild. He will put himself in the harm's way to advance his position and for our fans. He's coming off that win over Jamal Emmers, where in typical Nate the Train fashion, got the shit kicked out of him, but moved forward anyway with relentless pressure. Taking on the Korean Superboy, Choi. Exciting fighter. He has 5 Fight of the Night bonuses in only 7 UFC fights. Style-wise, powerful striker. Okay takedown defense. He does a great job throwing straight punches, staying active, and getting wild enough to be exciting, but not so wild that he's making massive mistakes. You can say that, yeah, he's got a good amount of losses, and he doesn't have a lot of wins. He's coming off his first win in 8 years. But a lot of that has to do with the fact that he did so well early, and he was such a prospect. The UFC rushed him, gave him some matchups that he probably shouldn't have had that early in his career, which led to a couple of losses, a bunch of injury, and just long layoffs. But then he came back, fought Kyle Nelson. Should have won that fight, but a point was deducted. Then he came after that, fought Bill Algeo, finally got a win. Korean Superboy's 33 years old, starting to hit the tail end of his career. He's not there just yet, but he hasn't quite lived up to that potential. So he needs to string together some wins, and this could be the beginning of that, because I am going to pick Nate Landwehr. I do think Nate Landwehr wins this fight with sheer pressure and wrestling. Choi's takedown defense is not great. So I think Nate Landwehr wins literally because of the pressure and the takedowns. But Nate Landwehr is almost knocked out in every single fight, and eventually the almost knocked out does become an actually was knocked out, and you just never know when that's going to be. Nate's the pick, but woo, child, my little... cautious with this one. What you think, boy?
Well, I think that I love Nate Landwehr. right? I mean, I was one of my most controversial lock of the weeks of all time was probably when I had Nate Landwehr against David Onama. And I said, listen, you guys don't know Nate the Train like I know Nate the Train. I know there's going to be adversity, right? I know that Onama's probably going to hurt this guy, but he is going to weather the storm, and he is going to wear that guy down, and that's exactly what happened. He almost got knocked out in the first round, came back, was dominating that fight. So I have Nate Landwehr has all the respect that I can give a fighter. I absolutely love Nate Landwehr. And what I love about him as well is that he is a fun fighter. I don't think he's going to press forward and wrestle. He's not going to fucking shoot a takedown unless he gets hurt. He is not going to shoot a takedown in fucking T-Mobile Arena. That guy's going to come forward. He's going to try to strike with Duho Choi. And the issue I have with Nate Landwehr is what Angelo already said. He does get hurt in basically every single fight. And Duho Choi, compared to the other people he's fought, I think has a little bit more of... What the fuck are you laughing at?
This comment. How many hoes could a Duho Choi if a Duho could chow hoes? Okay, go ahead. Well, you made me drink. I'm 4 shots deep, so those are the consequences.
Take a drink. Take a drink.
No, go.
Can't remember what the fuck I was saying, but Duho Choi, I think it has a little bit more of a finishing ability. Once he stays on somebody, he just kind of, he is going to stay on Nate Landwehr and not give him a chance to recover. And what we saw from Duho Choi in his last matchup against Algeo is all of a sudden, this guy's a wrestler. He's a fucking grappler. He was trying to get guillotines. He was trying to sweep. He was trying to get his own takedowns. All of a sudden, it's like Duho Choi has really improved that aspect of his game. And he was trying to show it off. He attempted like 3 or 4 fucking kind of tight guillotines on a guy like Bill Algeo. And if Duho Choi hurts Nate Landwehr, and the only time that Nate Landwehr is going to go to the wrestling, in my opinion, is if he does get a little bit hurt, he might go to the wrestling. I think he gets hurt. I think he takes a sloppy shot, and I think Duho Choi snatches up his neck, the one he couldn't get against Algeo, but against a guy like Nate Landwehr, he is so tough. It's hard to TKO these tough guys. Sometimes you got to just choke them out, and it seems like Duho Choi has been wanting to show off that grappling. Didn't do it against Bill Algeo. I mean, he fucking found the finish anyway, but I'm taking Duho Choi in this fight, man. And I got a flyer bet that I put on Twitter, $250, Duho Choi by submission, plus $800 to win, like $2,200 or something like that. It's a flyer.
There you go. Fancy fance. I am, did you pick Nate? You picked Duho. Who'd you pick?
The people know.
Okay, well, I picked Nate, so I'm going to stick with Nate. I do wish the odds were closer. I hate that he's like a medium favorite here because I would do something. Because then going from moving off money line, I got to find a prop that makes sense. I don't love the round lines. I don't love any of the props, so I'm probably just going to end up leaving this fight alone because Nate does almost get knocked out. But he comes forward with relentless pressure. He can finish people. He can get fit. Like, too much going on here. I would have bet Nate if the odds were closer, but if anything, they're actually widening. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that alone. $8,400, though, in DraftKings Fantasy. That's not terrible pricing. If he gets the takedowns, if he pushes that pace, which Jacob doesn't think he'll do, but I do, then all of a sudden, he'll be worth that money. If you do want to check out all the picks, the bets, the tools, the round line leans, the artificial intelligence, DraftKings Optimizer, WeWantPicks.com. It's only $10 a month. WeWantPicks.com. Next up, at UFC 310, we have Arkansas wrestler Bryce Mitchell taking on what looks like a homeless Kron Gracie. Bryce Mitchell, 16-2 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off that knockout loss to Josh Emmett, taking on Kron Gracie, 5-2 in the entirety of his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He is returning after an 18-month layoff. Bryce Mitchell, love-hate relationship with this guy. A little kooky. A little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Believes the earth is flat. Thinks there's aliens. All sorts of crazy shit going on in that guy's head. But he does work his ass off. He's a farm boy. He's got farm boy strength. He comes forward. He shoots mediocre takedowns. And then he gets them. Once it hits the ground, he's got phenomenal grappling. His striking is not very good. He did drop Edson Barbosa once a few years ago. And people love to bring that up and pretend that he's a phenomenal striker. Was he bigger than you or smaller than you? That's not a short joke. That's just curiosity.
I'm obviously much bigger than him.
A meaningful amount, for sure. Also, didn't know the vision was so bad.
Are you beating the fuck out of your microphone right now or something? Can you fucking stop touching it?
I was doing that. Listen, Bryce Mitchell doesn't have the best wrestling, doesn't have the best striking, but he will stick with the wrestling. He will set a pace, and his scramble skills are absolutely phenomenal. His jiu-jitsu is very, very good, and it's less about insane submission good and more about incredible scrambles and control good. He's taking on Kron Gracie. With that last name alone, you already know the game plan. He's exactly who you would think he is based off of that, except, not great. But he is a phenomenal jiu-jitsu practitioner, a very good grappler, high-level experience, and accolades. He only has 7 MMA fights, and honestly, you can see that in the fights. The long layoffs aren't helping him. The striking does not look improved. And while he is tough, he's also kind of clueless if things don't go his way. He doesn't have that dog in him. He doesn't have the ability to change up a game plan because there is no game plan. It's go out there, hope it ends up on the ground, and try to make something happen. Now, Bryce Mitchell will give Kron that game plan. Bryce Mitchell will come forward, will likely shoot takedowns and get it to the ground. Is Bryce Mitchell the best grappler in the UFC? No, of course not. But I think his scramble skills are good enough. I think his striking is good enough. The pressure is good enough. I think he is good enough to not get submitted, not get out-scrambled, and not get beat here. I think Bryce Mitchell wins this fight. I think the odds of -800 make a ton of sense. And a lot of that has to do with Kron Gracie, who he has been inside the octagon. His last 2 fights are terrible. He looks awful. It is what it is. Bryce Mitchell is the confident pick. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah.
Say the quote. Start with the quote.
Yeah, let's get back to that quote. If you guys missed it earlier, you're skipping through for breakdowns or whatever. First of all, you missed a lot of good banner. You might want to go rewatch some stuff. But this is a quote from Kron Gracie. And I've been trying to be pretty high on Kron Gracie this week. Not as a pick, but as an option that he could be live. And then Kron Gracie this week, he was asked about the placement of this fight being on the main card over some other people. And he basically said, it doesn't really bother him. You can see whatever it is. And then the final quote that he ended it with is, but I think that the placement of the fight is kind of not the most important thing. I don't care where I'm at on the card. Then he adds this little nugget. The sooner the better, really, talking about the placement on the card, the sooner the better, really, I get to go on with my life after that. So it's like, he's like fucking, this is just it's annoying that he has to show up and fucking throw on gloves and fight on the main card of a pay-per-view. It's like, Jesus Christ, Kron. Fucking hell. Because I try to make all the case in the world to be able to even pick him for this fight. If I would ask you, I don't know if you've seen the stat that I've shared, what the total strike number was that you think was going to be between Charles Jourdain and Kron Gracie. I imagine most people would say 200-5, right? It just felt like that type of fight with Kron falling on his back, butt skewed, and not really happening. Kron is a guy that he's not a pussy, right? He does the jiu-jitsu stuff, right? But he's not a Herbert Burns, right? When things aren't going the way for Herbert Burns, he'll just kind of turtle up and it's like, oh, well, he's going to lose. Kron is going to be around. He's going to do his stupid stuff, but he's going to be around. This is a guy that before his long break kind of did go to war with Cub Swanson. I mean, he was toe for toe, tit for tat, was pressing forward in the striking. This actual striking numbers, which this is all the not significant strikes, this is all the bullshit strikes. Kron Gracie had 171 total strikes. Charles Jourdain was at 175. So it's like, oh, you look at that, and it's like, well, you gotta obviously the fight went how it was, and he wasn't, but
he got his ass kicked.
All that is to say that he's not like a pussy, right? He doesn't just turtle up. And a lot of people are saying, well, Bryce just doesn't have to wrestle, right? He probably does not have to wrestle, and he can win this fight, right? But you're trying to tell me that you trust a guy not to wrestle a Gracie when he's already said, I want to test Arkansas wrestling versus Gracie jiu-jitsu. I want to test the jiu-jitsu. It's like, all right, well, you want to fucking play that game. This is a guy that we sat there and watched a year ago why isn't he shooting takedowns? What are you doing? You can't strike with Joshua. Why the fuck? So you want to trust the guy that didn't shoot a takedown and got knocked the fuck out against Josh Emmett? You
the loudest knockout I've ever heard.
You want to trust him to not shoot a takedown when he's already said, I'm going to test my jiu-jitsu against Gracie jiu-jitsu? And if this turns into a jiu-jitsu match, that's one that Kron could very easily fucking pull off some shit. So I would be careful. I'm picking Bryce because he This is a guy that, he got tired with the wrestling against Brad Katana in the third round. He got swept and he got his neck taken and he was choked out and he tapped against Brad Katana. So if this turns into a grindy, high-paced jiu-jitsu match, I don't know who's going to take Bryce Mitchell for Kron Gracie.
Yeah, listen, I am still very, very, very squarely on the Bryce Mitchell side. If it was a straight-up jiu-jitsu match, you got to go Gracie. But you add some elbows, you add a little bit of pressure. The fact that Kron Gracie hasn't been in a cage in forever.
I mean, so if you look at that Charles Jourdain fight, he had like 6 minutes of control or something. He was in the guard of Kron Gracie, but he was fucking postured up, elbows tucked. Yeah. He was, he knew I got to be very, very, and he was full defense. And anytime he felt anything, boom, he's getting out of there, right? So he was doing that. Bryce Mitchell is not going to do that. He's not going to be staying safe. Yeah. He is going to be posturing up to throw elbows. He's going to be trying to work for a submission. He wants to be that guy to finish and especially submit a guy like Kron Gracie. And that is when you fuck around and make mistakes. That's when you get sweat. That's when you get caught in triangles and all that bullshit is when you're too aggressive. And he's going to be aggressive in the guard of Kron Gracie.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree or disagree with that. I don't disagree. Like, I get what you're saying. He will put himself into harm's way, essentially. I still don't think it's going to matter. If Kron Gracie if he was Mackenzie Dern and was taking his career seriously and staying active and improving, staying busy, it'd be one thing. But that's not what he fights once every 3 years. And the last fight looked...
Oh, she's gone.
And the last fight looked absolutely terrible. Like, no. So, I don't think I just don't think it's going to be worth it. Bryce Mitchell is the pick.
But
I
you
do
like
trust.
I have a bet for. I'm not going to say it, but I have a bet on Kron for premium that I think is
that bet I did like. That bet I did not like. I did like. I did like that bet. I don't like Bryce Mitchell's DraftKings fantasy because I don't think Bryce is going to finish Kron Gracie. And you're going to spend $9,500 on what? Some control time, a couple of takedowns. That's not going to be worth it.
Yeah, Kron, to his credit, he's still a proud guy that represents.
Yeah,
he knows he needs to represent the great. So for him to go in and just like lay an egg and get submitted, I think he's too prideful for something like that.
Completely agree. You want to check out all the picks, the bets, the bet that Jacob has on this fight that I actually do like quite a bit. You can do so now. WeWantPicks.com. Click become a member at the top. It is only $10 for an entire month's worth of access, and I mentioned several times we have 18 units on the board between UFC 310 and UFC Tampa, which is next week. Couple of super chats. Nope, we already did this one. 279 Canadian. What's the new co-main event for UFC Tampa? I imagine that card has 14 fights, so they must just move one up the line. I don't know what it'll be. I can't think off the top of my head, but they're just going to move them up. There was 14 fights. Now they're down to 13. And we don't know why they moved it. I don't know if it's because they couldn't find a main event for January, but I imagine they would have just waited a little bit. So it's probably just a small injury somewhere. So they said, all right, we'll move you here. We need a main event anyway.
I don't know, but I'm a little bit upset about it too because Amanda literally sent me a message 2 days ago on Instagram saying, I have some news with some like emoji faces. And I was like, what's the news? And she never fucking responded. And I was like, I know it's fucking that has to do with the fight. I was like, either Durden is out, because I knew she was going to be fine, but I was like, I know that Durden is fucking out and that fight's going to fucking either drop or get moved. And then for the fucking 2 days, I was just waiting because she wasn't responding to my message. And then fucking here, the news drops today and she's fucking gone.
That does suck because you wouldn't be going to Tampa if she wasn't on that card. But it is what it is. You'll have
I probably would have went to 310 instead.
Yeah. We just got offered tickets to 310 too.
Thanks, Amanda.
Women, dude, women. They're all the same. Next up, at UFC 310, we have Cyril Gane taking on Alexander Volkov. Cyril Gane, 12-2 in his career. He is 3-2 in his last 5, and he's coming off that knockout win over Sergey Spivak. He's taking on Alexander Volkov, 38-10 in his career. 4-1 in his last 5. He's riding a 4-fight win streak. This is a rematch and a rebooking all in one fight. This fight originally happened in 2021. Gane danced around, was the better striker, won a very clear striking decision. This was supposed to happen a couple cards ago. Not UFC Paris, maybe Abu Dhabi, something like that. And it didn't. There was an injury on the Volkov side, so they moved it. And now we're going to get it here as the featured fight of the evening. As we all know, Ciryl Gane is a very, very high-level striker. He's not a killer, and he doesn't have that huge one-punch knockout power, but what he does have is incredible footwork, incredible in-and-out movement, great defense. For a heavyweight, he moves like a welterweight. He'll squeak in a takedown or two when he needs to as well. We saw 3 of those against Dontel Mays. He took down Rosenstruck twice in that fight. So he's a very high IQ guy who can dance around and win striking matches, but he can be beat by wrestling. Francis Ngannou beat him with offensive takedowns. John Jones obviously took him down and got it done, but he is coming off that win over Sergey Spivak where he defended the takedowns, and here's a wild stat for you, Jakey boy. He landed 109 strikes to Sergey's 11. That's a wild difference. He's taking on Alexander Volkov. Alexander Volkov has been around forever. Top 10 heavyweight for as long as I can remember. He's a very good striker, high IQ fighter on his side as well. He's fast. He's got good volume. He picks his shots. He'll adapt in a fight. He's not a big power guy, but the volume, the timing, that all suits him well enough to find some finishes here and there. He is coming off that decision win over Sergey Pavlovich, where he jabbed his way to victory. But that win and his recent win streak isn't going to help him here. I think Ciryl Gane does exactly what he did 3 years ago. Ciryl Gane's got the footwork. He's got the speed. He has already won this fight. And if you say, oh, it's a rematch, and I'm actually a big rematches and I don't care about what happened in the first fight kind of guy. But that's when that first fight was 6-7 years ago, and there's been dramatic differences. There are no differences between these two people now than then. Volkov didn't turn into a nasty wrestler. In fact, he hasn't taken someone down since 2020. So do you think Volkov has closed the striking gap that much? He lost 5 rounds on 2 judges' scorecards.
Oh.
He got touched up, danced around, had almost no success in that fight. This is only 3 rounds, and I think it's more of the same. I think Ciryl Gane got humbled by John Jones. He looked phenomenal against Sergey Spivak, who's not great, but he's a big, strong guy who can grapple, and I think he's going to look good here. The footwork is still there. Everything that was there in 2021 is still there, and let's say, oh, Volkov got better. Did he get this much better? No. Ciryl Gane's the pick. I'm very confident in him to get this done, and in all likelihood, it is a decision. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, Gane is probably like one of the most giftedly talented people maybe on fucking planet Earth. I mean, the athleticism of this guy is absolutely insane. The way he can be so big and so strong but move so fluidly, it is just absolutely amazing with the abilities he was gifted. As a fucking competitor, he seems to not be gifted the fucking competitiveness that I would come to expect from a guy that wants to be the fucking champion of the world. I would put my life on the line that there has never been a Ciryl Gane training camp situation where he's in camp and he's training and he's fucking on the bike, or he's fucking on, and the coaches are screaming, come on, Sarah, and he's having these moments that these fighters have, because I don't think that guy's worked hard a day in his fucking life. I think he has all fucking natural abilities, and he comes in the gym and he's laughing and he's hitting the bag and he's hitting mids and he's fucking doing some light sparring with these tall guys and this and that, but I don't think he's a guy that is a fucking grinder. You saw that John Jones fight. Oops, got guillotine. Well, we'll get him next time. Back to FIFA. I fucking hate that shit. I fucking hate when people don't give a flying fuck, and he went in that fight and got choked. Oh, whoopsie. Fucking can't stand that shit. If there's 2 guys that I know are gonna fucking give a shit, it's Alexander Volkov is gonna fucking give a shit. Now, Ciryl Gane has all the abilities to dominate this fight like he did in the beginning, right? But if the game plan doesn't go right, when you saw him got sat down by Ty and you saw his eyes was like, holy fuck, this is real now, and he had to fucking buckle in. If Volkov is able to get one on him, which I think he's going to be able to get one on him, and he starts panicking a little bit against this 6'8" fucking phenom, Volkov, I think he's getting fucking trouble this time. I think he's going to fucking lose. I can't pick a guy that doesn't give a flying fuck, and I can't pick Ciryl Gane. I'm going Alexander Volkov to get it done. Oh, cereal?
Yep. Cereal.
You say cereal.
I say cereal like a person. You say cereal like the breakfast food.
You know what's funny is you said it. You know what's so funny about this? Is that you said it, and the way that you said it, it sounded like cereal, and it made me think about it. And I was like, I'm not even going to, you know, it's so funny. I literally, in my head, right before that, sorry, I was like, I'm not even going to say cereal. I'm just going to call him Gon because I don't know how to say
The
his
first
fucking
thing you
name.
said was Gon. That was the first thing
I
you
know.
said. I'm like, oh, shit, I might not. And then
I know. Isn't that
in
crazy
your
that
rant,
I literally...
you said cereal, and I was like, oh, fuck.
Isn't
You
that-
didn't even see me take the first 2 swigs. You only saw the third one.
Oh, yeah, I didn't. I was fucking just...
The first swig, you said cereal clear as day, and it was a big swig, and you didn't even notice. And the whole chat was like, he didn't see.
I'm just in the fucking zone. But it's so funny that I literally thought about not even saying it at all. The one time that's pretty weird. Isn't that weird how the world works out? But
It is. I'm done, though, because this is a good rum. This is good. But, you know, I'm 6 shots, whatever it was. I just took 3. I had 3, 4 before it. Like, it's not good that long on a Tuesday night at 9:40. So, you said cereal. That was the drinking game. I said, if this idiot says cereal.
I really was convinced that wasn't actually a game.
No, it was that. It was that. And I can't believe people didn't narc in the...
Yeah, nobody. I
Discord.
did hide the chat just to make sure because I really did kind of want to figure it out, but then I wasn't going to
There
figure
it
it
is.
out.
Cereal. All right. Now that that's over with.
Yeah, you might as well finish the bottle.
No,
I agree.
I'm already feeling it. Not feeling it like, I'm drunk. Feeling it like I've taken
Blowing that back out
6
tonight.
6 shots of rum in the last 35 minutes. And tomorrow I got to...
WD-40 for that headboard.
Dude, I gotta go to my kid's school tomorrow and like open car doors and help out. Just hungover on a Tuesday, explaining why I'm hungover during the week.
Yeah, one more swig. Everyone just said one more. I didn't even see. I didn't even get to see the first couple. How do I even know it even happened?
You can rewind.
Just one more swig just to cap it off.
Not happening.
Cheers to
Not
7
happening.
million. Come on.
I did already.
Cheers
I did
to
already.
7 million.
No, I already. What? No.
Cheers. Oh, sorry guys. He hates you. You heard it. He hates you.
Now
He
it's
fucking
now
hates
it's
you.
a hey.
He
Now
fucking
it's,
hates you.
now it's a Dare commercial, and you can say no. You can say no.
Yeah, if you're a fucking pussy. Don't be a fucking pussy.
Listen, we both picked Cyril gone $9,000 in DraftKings Fantasy. That ain't happening. Not doing the $9,000 in DraftKings Fantasy.
Can I also be honest?
Yeah, love to hear it.
I don't have any money on Volkov, so
All that ranting and raving.
I don't have any money on Volkov. I just can't pick Gon.
All that ranting and raving. Unbelievable. I do. And if you want to check it out, WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. At the top, it is only $10 for an entire month.
Who's that sweaty guy who smells like liquor going up to everyone's car? And I just imagined you like, because it's like fucking like 40
Good
degrees
morning,
in the-
Kyle.
Like it's 40 degrees in the morning too. So you sweating when it's with the hoodie on would be like, it's an even funny, even like a more funny visual. Just, oh God.
I know, dude. And I have to like help out in the class and like a whole bunch of shit. So I can't be reaching.
What are we fucking paying these teachers for? Why are you going and doing all this fucking work? What are they doing? You work fucking 9 months a year. Now all of a sudden you get fucking Wednesday mornings off?
I mean, it's a crazy world out there, man. It's a crazy world out there. Teachers, dude. Nobody wants to work anymore. Nobody wants to work. It's unbelievable, actually. It's unbelievable.
All these tapology fucks.
Unbelievable. First of all, Angelo, you owe more than one shot. No, you owe one more shot. You missed it because you were grunting after the first shot. No, he didn't.
Ooh.
No, because I also gave him a
Truth
gift.
comes out.
Nah, bullshit. I also
comes
gave him a
out.
gift with the second shot was a gift. He said cereal, not cereal. Second shot was a gift. Guys, be thankful. You got 6 shots out of me on a freaking Tuesday night of rum with
Stop
no
yelling.
chaser.
Hey, stop yelling.
And I'm hot and I'm yelling and I get loud when I drink. And Tiff, I'm going to go after this. I'm going to go to bed and Tiffany's going to be like, were you drinking? And I'm going to get yelled at by the wife.
Why is the rest
I'm going to
not
get
like that?
yelled at by the wife. Okay.
Where were you?
Yeah. You were drinking on stream? I thought you said.
Oh, you're not allowed to have fun without me. Every woman.
Oh,
You're having fun without me.
dude, they fucking hate it.
Is
Dude,
that fun I hear on the phone?
they hate when you relax without them too. Because on Saturday night, so we rented a house, a couple of families came, we drank heavily all day, every day. And then by Saturday, so we did that Friday, and then by Saturday night...
Quit yelling.
I'm not yelling. Yeah. By Saturday night... Well, that is what happens when you drink. By Saturday night, dude, by 10 o'clock, I'm like, I'm going to fucking bed. Like, I'm done with this. I'm tired. I'm not going to rally at 10. Like, I'm done. And so I was just laying down watching TikTok, and she was like, if you go to bed right now, that means I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm like, you'll be fine. You'll figure it out. You don't need me.
Yell.
Okay, we're moving on.
You keep yelling.
Next up, at UFC 310, we have the co-main event of the evening. This is a new co-main event. Both of these fighters were scheduled to fight around this time. Shavkat Rakhmonov was supposed to fight Belal Muhammad for the belt on this card. It was supposed to be the main event. Belal Muhammad got like a foot infection. Something horrible happened. He pulled out. They kept Shavkat on the card, but he needed an opponent. So they moved Ian Garry from the main event of Tampa, and they brought him in here. So Ian Garry is supposed to fight next week. He's fighting this week instead. I don't think the 7-day difference is going to make any meaningful difference in what's going on here. So I'm going to break this down as if they both had full camps and they were expecting to fight each other. We've got Shavkat Rakhmonov, 18-0, undefeated in his career. 18 wins with 18 stoppages, taking on Ian Machado Garry. 15-0 in his career with 8 stoppages. Shavkat Rakhmonov is a guy that we just don't know how good he is yet. He is either an all-time great, and these are truly 18 unbelievable finishes, and he'll go down in history as the only guy who finished everybody and had every title and did all the things. Or he's been running through people, and as soon as the fight gets a little tough and goes a little longer than expected, he's going to have no backup plan. But as of right now, he is that guy. We've seen him go kind of long, right? He went into the 3rd round with Jeff Neal, still got the finish. We've seen him knock people out. We've seen him submit people. We've seen him jump guillotines and get those. His takedowns are not great, however. He needed 5 attempts to take down Wonder Boy in his last fight. He's taking on Ian Machado Garry. A very good technical striker. He's got very good hand speed, great length, good footwork, knows how to use all of it really well. He can be hittable because he keeps his chin straight up in the air, and we've seen him almost knocked out, but he was able to survive, regroup, come back, and get it done. He went to the Shooter Box fight camp, 1 or 2 fights ago, and we're seeing the grappling improvements. In fact, in my opinion, the only reason he won his last fight is because he offensively grappled, because the striking seemed to be going MVP's direction. But Ian Machado Garry is a very good striker, a high fight IQ guy who takes his career unbelievably seriously. And that last piece is what has me a little concerned here. I'm going to pick Shavkat to win this fight. But the fact that Ian, and I want an honest answer out of you, not some yelling, screaming, ginger bullshit. The fact that Ian Garry took this fight, a guy with a carefully curated career who takes it all very seriously, like every single thing he does is on purpose, is well thought out. Is there not some concern that like he 100% thinks he can win this fight? Is like positive, like he seems like a type of guy who would not accept a fight that he didn't think he could win.
I think most fighters think they're going to win the fight, Angelo.
I guess the point I'm making is, hasn't he turned down fights in the past?
I don't know.
Like, I'm pretty sure he didn't fight Colby Covington, like when he was still doing well. And Ian Garry seems like the exact type of guy that would say no to a fight that he thought he would lose. And I get what you're saying. Everybody thinks they can win everything, but I don't think he's that guy. Either way, that gives me a little bit of caution, but I am going to pick Shavkat because Shavkat can grapple, can wrestle, and does have power in his hands. So if he can close the distance and be crazy and turn this into a mess, as he has done many times before, he can and should win this fight. I do think these odds are wide, though. It's not crazy that Ian Garry dances around and is just a faster, cleaner, better striker overall and avoids any grappling chaos. And he's been training enough grappling. He's not like clueless, useless on the ground. He's a good grappler. I'm going to pick Shavkat. I'm not nearly as confident as these almost 4-1 odds. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I've been, if you guys know me, you guys know, if you were just to listen to all my breakdowns of both of these fighters, you would just assume that Ian Garry's going to be the lock of the week. I mean, I have been very, very high on Ian Garry. When people want to shit on him for the personal stuff and all this stuff, it's like, I don't give a fuck. As a fighter, that guy is fucking good. And I've said that Ian Garry is fucking really, really good, even underrated for what he even is perceived right now, which is a title contender. I think he's still, as a striker, that underrated. At least I thought he was, as a striker, kind of that underrated. And then, I watched the MVP fight, and it's like, he really kind of had to use plan B, right? Because he thought he was going to go in there, and I thought he was going to go in there and be the faster guy. And I know MVP's got the length and all this type of stuff, and he is a good striker. But I thought that Ian was going to be able to show off his hands in that and kind of get in and out with the boxing and the striking and the kicks.
Yeah, touched up.
And he had to go to plan B, and he had that plan B. And the reason I say that is because for Ian Garry in this fight, I don't think he has the type of power in his hands to keep Shavkat off of him. Right, if he had a little bit more pop in his hands to kind of hurt Shavkat, to keep that fucking pressure off him, because Ian Garry is going to be, Shavkat's going to be walking forward either to get those clinch positions or to get to the wrestling. And if he had just had something he could throw out there to keep Shavkat away a little bit, that would be kind of a plan A situation, but I don't think he has that. And if Shavkat gets in this guy's face and is starting to get him to the ground, or he hurts him against the fence, there is no plan B. There is no plan B against Shavkat. You can't just start slugging with the guy because he's got a concrete head and you're going to get knocked out. You definitely can't go to the wrestling because he's just going to out-grapple you in that type of situation. So if you're Ian Garry, in my opinion, you can win this fight. He has the striking ability, but you have to be on your P's and Q's for 25 fucking minutes, dancing around the outskirts and just kind of touching and moving and touching and moving. And I just think Shavkat eventually is going to get his hands on this guy. And when he gets his hands on this guy, it becomes a bullying issue, it becomes a physicality issue, and it becomes kind of just that inside dirty clinch game. And I think as good as Ian Garry has tried to improve in that situations, going to shoot a box. Now he spent his whole camp in Thailand. I think he knows those clinch positions are going to be coming, and he wants to be strong there. I just don't think it's going to be enough, and Shavkat's going to have his way kind of in those type of positions. So I don't think Ian Garry's got enough pop to keep Shavkat off him. And if you can't keep this guy off you and he gets his hands on you, he doesn't have the best takedowns in the world. And, I think Bilal kind of fucking smokes this guy, which isn't going to be a popular pick.
I thought Bilal was going to beat him too. I was gonna pick Bilal against Shavkat.
But I just think it's a bad matchup for Ian Garry. And I've been fully on board the Shavkat sucks train. I just think it's a matchup thing.
So do you think you're not worried? Do you think he finishes Ian? And he's 19-0, 19 finishes?
No, I've said the whole time, and I actually kind of got fucking pissed off because I've been saying it, thinking that it was going to be plus 500, plus 600, because Shavkat is a finished guy, right? And I know that
I was hoping it was a 1.5 round line, honestly.
But the books gave it much more respect, I thought to. I think it's only plus 250, but I've been saying Shavkat by points the entire time. I think Ian Garry does enough. He's a smart guy. He's not going to take chances, get it finished, right? And if it's a situation where he's just dancing around and he loses a decision, he can be like, oh, it's short. I stepped up, short notice. I'll get him next time, this type of stuff. But if he gets finished, it's going to be a little bit harder to bounce back. He's a smart guy. I think he stays safe, and I think Shavkat can win by points.
Yeah, I was really hoping for a 1.5 round line. A lot of people, it just seemed to be that was going to be the round line, and then obviously that's not how that played out. It's a 2.5. It's like
all the
it is a 5-round fight, by the way.
And all the props seem to show, like the money line obviously is more of a public thing, but the props seem to show a lot of respect for Ian Garry in this fight.
Yeah, the over, and I think that's because he won't
even like the KO and the points. I really thought that Shavkat by points would be like plus 500. I was going to load the boat, and I was like 250. I was like, Jesus, they have some respect for Ian Garry.
Shavkat's knocked a bunch of people out, but I don't think he knocks out Ian Garry. I think Ian Garry's striking range is too good, so Shavkat closes the distance, grapples, and makes something happen there. But I'm looking. This is a phenomenal fight. Like, this is a very, very good fight. I'm looking forward to it. Is it as good as Shavkat versus Bilal? Maybe not, but it's a very good fight. Like, I'm more excited for this than the main event for
I think
sure.
This is more
this is
of
a great
an
fight.
intriguing fight than the Bilal fight. Because
100%.
you don't really know in this fight what, like the Bilal fight, you knew like Bilal is probably either going to get the takedowns and the control or he's not. So you kind of knew how that. But this one, you really don't know what's going to happen.
Literally no clue. Shavkat's a finisher. Never seen him go to a decision, let alone 5 full rounds.
And we've seen Shavkat get out wrestled. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we're high on Bilal is because Shavkat can get out wrestled. So what if Ian Garry all of a sudden looks like fucking Khabib in there against Shavkat? It'd be crazy, but
he did it against MVP. But yeah, I mean, I doubt it. I listen. You could have argued Ian Garry still lost that MVP fight, or he was one stupid decision away, or MVP was one stupid decision away from making it happen. So either way, this is a great fight. I am looking forward to it. If you do want to check out all the picks, the bets, the tools, and everything else, WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's only freaking $10 for an entire month. We have 18 units on the board between the next 2 cards alone. $9,200 in DraftKings Fantasy. Listen, if you are in the squarely on the Shavkat side and you do not think this goes 5 full rounds, then that $9,200 is money well spent. Next up, at UFC 310, we have the main event of the evening. We have Alexandre Pantoja defending his belt for the 3rd time against a UFC newcomer in Kai Asakura. There's a lot of talk about this is the great signing, and the UFC knows what they're doing, and I don't know why, but everybody just latches on and just continues to regurgitate the same thing over and over and over again. And the most recent regurgitation is Kai Asakura has a massive fan base, and he brings a huge audience with him, so the UFC wants him to win. And you can argue that's the case with anybody from a specific country. I do not think that the UFC is purposely saying, let's go get a Japanese superstar to bring in the Japanese fan base. They have a Japanese fans are tremendous mixed martial arts fans to begin with. They also have Tai Tatsura, who can end up being a huge superstar in his own right. So to see video after video after video, just fake hot taking this huge signing from Japan is a little ridiculous. Alexandre Pantoja, 28-5 in his career. He is 5-0 in his last 5, and he is coming off his 2nd title defense. Taking on a Kai Asakura, 21-4 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5, making his UFC debut in a title fight. This does not happen very often. He is a healthy underdog here, so this is mostly content creator yapping to pretend that Kai Asakura is going to come in here and absolutely smoke. But he can do well. He's an incredible striker. If you haven't watched any tape on him, he is a very good, very fun, very fast, and powerful striker. He's also big. He's a 135-pounder that is coming down 10 full pounds to fight for a UFC title.
And do you know what he was doing on the embedded?
Drinking his own piss?
Motherfucker, I don't. The embedded obviously is filmed before it's aired, but it had to been like last week or something. He's at a restaurant. Nutritionist said I can have a cheat meal, and he's eating all this fucking. He can eat whatever. The nutritionist said I can eat whatever I want. All this fried food. Like, motherfucker,
not a week out.
Motherfucker, what? You've never made 125 before, and you're having a cheat meal with all this fucking fried food and shit. It's like, what are you doing?
Dude, a week out is crazy. Dude, a week out.
He's only embedded like, yeah, it's a cheat day.
Yeah. Dude, a week out, they remove salt. Fighters won't even look at a salt. They won't look at salt a week out. It's like steamed broccoli and chicken with no seasoning. So yeah, that's crazy. A full-blown cheat day coming down. Dude, coming down 10 pounds when you already... If going from 135 to 125 is a very big drop. Anyway.
That's a lot of percentage. You're talking about body weight.
In his UFC debut, I'm skipping steps here. I'll get to that point. But he is a phenomenal striker. He's lightning fast. He lets just his hands go. He has no issue putting himself in harm's way to find a finish. He's very mobile. He's very hard to like back into a corner, make something happen. Takedown defense is the biggest question because he's fighting in ONE FC. He's fighting in a ring. There's not a lot of wrestlers. He's fighting a lot of strikers. So we don't really know what the takedown defense truly is going to be, and it will matter because Alexandre Pantoja is going to come forward, bomb big heavy strikes, and look to grapple. He's a fantastic grappler. He's got good control, good ground and pound. The striking's not amazing. It is formulaic, but it's the right formula, right? 1-2, 1-1-2, 1-2-3. Like, he'll throw in some small combinations, he'll make stuff happen, and he'll move forward. Jakey boy, what's a 1?
Oh, it's a jab.
What's a 2?
Oh, it's a right hand.
What's a 3?
Oh, it's a left hook.
Oh, okay. All right. What's a 4?
Oh, it's a right hook.
What's a 5?
Oh, it's a left uppercut.
All right, you got him. Oh, look at you, Jakey. My girls have
pads before, man.
My girls have it memorized too, so I'm working on them. Anyway, Alexandre Pantoja, current world champion. He's been in several dogfights. Notably, his last fight was kind of a dogfight. He had 9 takedowns. A lot of people gave Steve Erceg a bunch of credit there. I didn't think it was as controversial as people made it out to be, but I also value takedowns more than most people do. And that's the only thing that's going to matter here is takedowns. Alexandre Pantoja is not winning a striking match. Not in this fight. Not against Kai Asakura. But you take a guy from a foreign land, far, far away. The land of the rising sun. That might be China. I think it's Japan. The land of the rising sun. You take him. You bring him here. You take him out of a ring. Put him in a cage. You make him cut an additional 10 pounds. You put him on the biggest stage he's ever fought in. Not the biggest arena. Maybe not even the most eyes. Those Japanese fights in the Saitama Super Arena are wild. But this is absolutely the biggest stage of his entire career. It's too much. Fighting a grappler, an established UFC guy, Kai Asakura in Las Vegas, Nevada. I think Alexandre Pantoja gets it done. I think he looks exactly like a minus 260 favorite, if not more than that. And I think Kai Asakura is going to get a little bit exposed with the grappling. I've been watching this sport a very long time. I was a Pride champion. Not like Pride fighting champion fan. Yeah, no, fan. A Pride fan. It's PFC, Pride Fighting Championships. I was a fan of the Pride style. I was a fan of the soccer kicks, the stomps, the ring. Those fights were exciting as shit. But they were exciting because we didn't have wrestlers. There was a ton of steroids. And a lot of those fights were fixed. That is not what we have here. In a cage where you can get backed up against the cage and taken down without a referee smacking your hand because it's ropes. Alexandre Pantoja wins this fight. What do you think, Jakey Boy?
Yeah, I was, I don't know if I was giving you a hard time or not, but I was in my head.
You were sending me, wait, hold on. You were sending me picture after picture of Alexandre Pantoja getting hit, and then picture after picture of Kai Asakura wrestling with fucking Marab.
Right. And that was because we all know Pantoja at this point. Right, we all know Pantoja at this point. His nickname is the Cannibal. He's gonna come forward with crazy striking, with a fucking concrete head to get to that body lock position. He can get a takedown from anywhere. He can get a single. He can get a double. He can just body lock you. He can just climb your back without a takedown. He is very, very talented in the grappling. And as good as Kai thinks that he's improved in that aspect, I mean, he's not gonna withstand the grappling of Pantoja. If it goes to the ground, Pantoja's going to have, and it's not going to be like a Chase Hooper in Clay Guida type of situation, because I think Kai probably is going to be able to withstand the early stuff, but Pantoja eventually is going to wear you down. Because my knock on Pantoja, because I've picked against him a couple times, was eventually he's going to slow down. His pace is so crazy that I picked Brandon Moreno against him because I was like, Pantoja's going to slow down. And then I kept waiting for Pantoja to slow down. He just fucking never slowed down. Now you realize Pantoja does not slow down. I picked Steve Erceg against Pantoja because I knew that Steve Erceg could hang in the striking with range, but could also do enough in the grappling to kind of be able to stay alive in rounds or even win rounds with offensive wrestling, which at the end kind of fucked him. But that's why I picked Steve Erceg. So when I knew that there was going to be this wild, dynamic, powerful striker coming over from Japan, I was like, oh, Pantoja might be in trouble because Pantoja's always fucking reckless. And if you get a guy that's got laser hands against a reckless guy coming forward, that's a recipe for disaster, especially the knees that guy can throw as well. So that was with me not even watching Kai, already thinking that I'm probably going to pick Kai, and then I watched Kai, and as much as he does have those shots that he can catch people with, the knees as they're coming in, the kind of almost Sean O'Malley step back right hands, he will pull you, right? He likes when people are charging at him, he can pull you into those step back right hands. It's not always nice and tight. Sean O'Malley, when he's everything is boom, right on the dot, nice and tight. He will get fucking loopy with his shots. He will throw the wild shit, the spinning shit. And I think that over-aggression in the counter-striking is going to just open up this takedowns a little bit more for a guy like Pantoja, who's already going to be able to timing well. But especially when you're not coming straight down the middle on these guys and you're getting a little bit loopy, that's when you're getting taken down. And if you're getting taken down, I think he's in trouble. So I just think it's the wildness that people love about Kai is ultimately going to be his downfall. That obviously he can catch a guy like Pantoja, maybe he hurts him, he'll put him out. He's a dangerous guy, but I just think he's a little bit too loopy, and Pantoja's going to be able to work the ground game, and I flipped all the way to Pantoja.
There we go. Glad you made it. Yeah, you were trolling me for a while there, and I was actually fucking annoying.
And I've only missed 2 pay-per-view main events all year. One of them was Pantoja.
Yeah. Well, you're on the other side, so hopefully it's not some weird Pantoja karma. But I think the $8,800 in DraftKings Fantasy is worth it because it's not crazy that Pantoja finds a finish. And if he doesn't find a finish, we might get a performance like his last fight where he had 9 takedowns.
I think it feels like that this is going to be fire. I mean, Pantoja's a guy that, especially when he knows he has a grappling advantage, I mean, he is fucking on you.
Yeah,
he is fucking on you. And if he gets on him early, I think he can wear him down and find a finish. But if he gets caught coming in, I was surprised. I guess it is flyweights, but the 2.5 round line was a little bit surprising. I thought it might be 1.5 with the over, definitely be a minus money. But I think there's this fireworks early, and somebody's going to look very dominant.
I agree. Kai Asakura is either going to smoke Pantoja on the way in because Kai Asakura cutting that extra weight, coming to 125 for the first time ever, he's going to slow down. So if he doesn't get an early knockout on a sloppy Pantoja takedown attempt, he's not going to get one. Like, you close your eyes and you get through the first round, you're fine. You're fine if you're on the Pantoja side. But the first round might be tricky because Kai's might... Yeah, it's just... Man... Coming into the UFC, a 5-round main event in your first ever fight, down a weight class.
He's a cocky kid, dude. He's a cocky kid. The embeddeds have been good to kind of in the countdown as well to get to know him because obviously a lot of us don't even know who he is as a personality or whatever. And the way he was talking about Pantoja and stuff too, he's like, I don't think he's. Obviously, he gives him his credit, but he's like, I don't think he shines anywhere, I think was a quote or whatever. It's like, well, I don't know if you've watched the grapple.
Crazy fucking thing to say, yeah.
He's a pretty fucking grappler.
Yeah. And the Brandon Moreno win to take the belt only looks better now than it did before. Because Brandon Moreno just looked great. So either way, we are both on the Pantoja side. If you do want to unlock all the picks, the bets, the tools, the round line leans, and everything else, it's freaking $10. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. Unlock it all instantly. Couple of super chats, $1.99.
Real quick, and how many times have we seen just regular other promotions come to the UFC for just regular fights and get fucking smoked? And it's like, oh yeah, competition's a little bit different. And now you have a different promotion fighting the fucking champion for his first fight. It's pretty crazy.
Dude, even people who ended up being great, like Justin Gaethje, struggled first coming to the UFC. Ended up being great. Ended up putting it together, but took him a little while. Onwell to $1.99. I missed you guys. Shaking my head so much last week. Well, we missed you. The off weeks do kind of suck. I'll give you quick picks, but nothing like the live show. Anomaly, news, analysis, and hip hop. Now, hey, nobody says, give me news on hip hop like a white dude that looks like Jesus. But he says,
I think that is Jesus.
That's a guy smiling with a hookah.
That is Jesus Cristo.
Jacob's lock of the week is very impressive. That man
Cereal.
is locked in. Oh. No, too late now. And then another from Anomaly, news, analysis, and hip hop. That's awesome that Angelo was a Pride champion.
Can someone let me know in the comments real quick if Angelo, when he set up this game, if he put limitations on the game, or is he just making that?
I said if Jacob figures it out and starts taking advantage, we're shutting it down.
I didn't even take advantage. I said it one other time, and I think you owe it to the people.
I took 6 shots during this show. 6.
Come on, man. It's the last pay-per-view of the year. It's 7 million.
A guy with a corn dog as his profile picture says, hold up, y'all are sponsored by Hayabusa now or something. And yes, we do have a partnership with Hayabusa. And I reached out to him. I am a Hayabusa customer. I train. If you guys watch any of the vlogs that have any training in it, you'll watch me put my Hayabusa shorts on. My Hayabusa gi. I have been wearing and using Hayabusa gears from when Nick Newell was fighting in Bellator. So I love Hayabusa. Their products are unbelievable.
I'm a big Hayabusa guy. I've got a couple gis that I wear around the house now.
He does have a couple of gis,
and
like bathrooms.
They're, I'll get naked and nap on them.
So I basically reached out and was like, hey, I'm about to buy some stuff here. I am a customer. I love your products. And I know you sponsor like athletes, like big time professional kickboxers and boxers. And like, I know you do that. And we're a little different, but And then we had a meeting. We talked about it, went through the whole thing, and made it work. So very, very proud and happy.
That calls for a shot, I think.
You know what? I will take a hot for Busa. For
the
Busa.
boost.
The amazing Canadian. Oh, wait. Label out. To Aljamain. So smooth. It gets smoother.
I told you guys you got an issue, man. I told you guys, and I
See, it
just
was a
wanted,
fucking
you guys to see it real in person. He's got a peer pressure issue. He's got an addiction issue. He can't say no, and I'm glad you guys can finally see that and help me get him the help that he needs.
I said no. You know what I can't say no to? Onion rings. And you can't say no to premium because it is by far the greatest offering in this space. The data analyzer is one of many tools. We talk so much about the bets and look how well we did. And everybody else on the internet's a fucking idiot except us. Look at the numbers. But there's also tools. If I never put a single bet out into the universe and the only thing we did was offer tools, or actually more specifically, this one tool, the data analyzer, that would be worth more than $10 a month, let alone the entire package. The data analyzer is going to give you all the stats information for every single fighter on every single fight card listed clean through 2025. Those fights will be on a chart. You can then click the plot points on a chart to see who the judges were for that fight, how they scored the fight. To see all the information, you can click the button, watch the actual fight itself. You're also going to get tools like the line movement tracker, opening odds, current odds, win probability, and line movement for every fighter on every card. The Prop Hunter, a curated set of data specifically designed to help you find prop bets. And the DraftKings Optimizer, fully loaded with the best DraftKings ownership projections in the game. And then we got some dude from New Zealand. He throws a Frisbee every now and then. He breaks down some fights. Apparently, did you know, Jacob, that Artem is actually like fucking unbelievable at this?
He's our mad scientist.
No, I'm not even being sarcastic.
No, I fucking am not either. He's fucking, yeah. He works hard, dude. If you work hard, that's what happens, bro. We love Artem.
He, apparently, all I see is like, oh, you almost picked the perfect card for PFL.
Do you know what he eats every morning?
Dude, I look at him. I'm just going to look at him. He looks like every morning.
Cereal.
No, I'm not doing that shit. When Jacob first moved to Texas, he ate hot dogs for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and that's not an exaggeration. He only stopped because I was relentlessly shaming him, and he was like, all right, maybe I need to learn how to cook other foods. So he learned to cook other
There's
foods.
literally nothing wrong with hot dogs.
I agree. I like hot dogs.
Okay. So I don't know why you're trying
Like
to...
every couple of months or in the summer. Not all seriousness, you were having like 6 a day, right? Every day.
There's like 4. I had 2 for lunch, 2 for dinner.
Every day is crazy. That's so many hot dogs, dude. That's so many hot
On
dogs.
the Glizzy Goblin.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Anyway, this dude
I'm
from
not
New
going to sit
Zealand.
here and act weird about liking hot dogs. There's nothing wrong. I'm sorry for being American for liking hot dogs.
Yeah, but it's okay
You go to
like
the ballpark
things.
and have 8 of them. Nobody calls you anything. Not
No,
to your
you know-
face. You know what's funny about this hat, and I just figured it out?
It's
I
Rudolph.
like that hat. I like that hat, that style of hat, but I can't wear that style of hat. It looks weird. And I finally figured it out. It's because it's like too wide on my face, but your fucking fat cheeks stick so far out that it makes it proportional with
know
that
what's
fucking
funny?
hat, and that's why it looks good on you.
You know what's funny? Oh, Angela's fat, blah, blah, fine. You know what's funny? I have a shockingly small head. I'm like Ian Garry head. Because he's
Not
got
your
a tiny,
fucking cheeks, buddy.
He's got a tiny head for his body. I got a small head. We went to the Cowboys game, so I bought some Cowboys swag to go to the game, right? You got to dress the part. I bought a hat, a fitted hat, not a snapback or whatever, a fitted hat. I got a small medium. Got a little baby head. Big ass dude.
I think that if you blushed, we could use the power off those big fucking cheeks that are blushing to fuel America for a day. Like
Well,
nuclear fission.
If
Those
fusion,
fat fucking cheeks.
if 7 shots of this didn't get me flush, nothing will.
Oh,
Maybe a compliment.
I'll get you to blush.
Maybe a compliment.
I bet I get you to blush.
Maybe a compliment.
I bet you I get you to blush.
Torque says Angelo started an onion ring review channel. I fucking would love to do that shit. Oh. And this, Oh, Hayabusa is a sponsor. This is Young LA. Young LA is also a partner of the show. And their origin story with us is a little different. They watch the show. One of their designers watches the show and has for a long time. Giordani, shout out to you, my guy. And reached out and said, I'm going to send you some stuff. I work at Young LA, designed some of the things. I'm going to send you some stuff. So I wasn't really familiar with who they were yet. I am not. They're a 40-year-old living in the suburbs with a couple of kids is not their target audience.
But you're looking good in that stuff. And I think
Dude, you know what's so funny?
Everyone's starting to notice.
That is what's fun. All right, so real quick. So he reached out saying, let me send you some stuff. He sent it. Jacob and I discovered them at the exact same time. We opened it. We're like, dude, this is fucking nice shit. High quality stuff. Put it on. We're like, this is crazy. Jacob wore it, goes back to his place. A woman is immediately like, that's nice stuff. I know. I didn't want to say what woman, but it was his girlfriend.
She's gone. And Amanda left. They're all gone.
Sorry about that. Immediately got compliments. And so then we did a little research. We're like, holy shit. I asked a dude I know who's like much more fashionable than I am. He's like, yeah, dude, Young LA is awesome. So then we're like, Giordani, can we make this a little more official? This is incredible stuff. So then we did. So obviously we wear it. I'm wearing this now because it's cold as hell out, and this is unbelievably comfortable. And it's the Young LA UFC collab. I wore the Conor McGregor Young LA UFC collab t-shirt for my Conor McGregor hot take. Like 5 comments are like, hey, look who doesn't look old all of a sudden. It's funny how clothes can do that, huh, Jakey boy? So anyway, that's what this shirt is. Thank you for the comment.
You know what?
Dude,
You know what my Twitter caption is for this picture?
What?
This is Angelo after one jiu-jitsu cigarette.
What's a jiu-jitsu cigarette?
It's just something made up, Angelo. That's why it's funny.
Yeah, that's hilarious stuff. Guys, thanks for the hangout. We hit 7 million total views on the channel. 4,400 premium members. And the only way we can really show our thanks is a couple of things, in all seriousness, is be consistent as fuck. You are going to get a Sunday morning future event breakdown from me every single Sunday, no matter what. Card or not. We're just going to go to the next week and you're going to get a breakdown. Jakey boy is going to...
There's nothing wrong with peeing while you sit down.
Then there's nothing wrong with... Oh, that's right, because I fucking smoked you. How did I get you with that?
There's nothing wrong.
Oh, I put it in the
Sorry
Discord.
for being comfortable.
That's right. I put it in the Discord. And the other thing we're going to do is continue to break down these fights, continue to give premium members tools that work for the future, give them bets in the future. And there's no such thing as breaks here. And that's all we can do to show our appreciation is be consistent, show up. Jacob will continue to be the most entertaining, most unique person in this space.
Whoa.
So you're very fucking unique, dude. You're fucking weird. You're unique. Your pigmentation is a strange thing. That there's a lot of weird shit going on there, and it's good. Everybody is unique. There are differences. That's you, and you're different, and we love you for it.
Okay.
There we go. And part of that is having 18 bets on the board for the future. And also, we give back. I could sit here and pump an affiliate link and just keep it all to myself. Or I can share some of that. It's not been like 2 hours. It's been 2 hours and 41 minutes, buddy. Or I could share some of the money with you, and that's what we do with the sportsbook affiliates. WeWantPicks.com/bets. You use the link, you sign up, make a deposit, we get you paid. Jakey boy, any last words for the people on the last pay-per-view of the year?
I just appreciate everyone that's been sticking around, listening to Angelo ramble for the last fucking 15 minutes.
Dude, there's 700 people watching.
I know, that's what I'm saying. They're like, wait for something crazy to happen. You know, what happens when the lights go down? Like, we're switching over to fucking... That's like, actually what's funny about this is I got 2 stories to tell for people sticking around. Make sure you like the stream if you haven't. Make sure you like the stream if you haven't already. But the first part is, so the Pat McAfee show is live on ESPN, and then it stops on ESPN, but it continues on YouTube. So then just turns into the YouTube show. And he like does a sign off or whatever. The other day he did a sign off, like, see guys, it switches camera to the toxic table because they're talking. All of a sudden from like the background, because the shot is shot from behind him to them, so you can't see him.
Yeah.
All of a sudden there's just this puff of smoke that comes into the fucking thing, and it accidentally switches to him, and he like puts a vape down real quick and stuff. And it's like, oh shit, he's in the blinky, fucking once it goes off ESPN. Second thing is I was pulling out of my complex the other day, and I have my left turn signal on. It's a T, and I'm getting ready to turn left, so I'm looking both ways, right? And I'm getting ready to turn. I don't make any movements, or I'm just sitting there, and I see a car coming, so I'm like, I'll wait for that car. I wait for this car to come down the road, and as it comes to the road, I'm looking at the person driving as they go by, and if they're like this, and I'm looking at them, and they're driving like this, in the window, driving by, finger like this as he's going by.
For no reason?
Like, yeah. It's like, and it's like fucking 8 in the morning. It's not like he had a hard day. It was just taking, I'm like getting ready to go get breakfast with my dog. I'm feeling good. It's a nice crisp morning. He literally in the window like this as he's driving by for no reason. And I spent the rest of, I almost like literally was like, do I chase this guy down and be like, what the fuck are you, like, what? It like really fucking pissed me off. I was like, I didn't do anything.
That is funny.
Fuck?
Yeah, well, you got some karma coming your way. There was one comment, and then I'm shutting this fucking shit down. They said, remember when Jacob set off his fire alarm with the fog machine? And that was not staged either.
Because I had tested it earlier, and it didn't go off. So I was like, oh, we're good to go. It's like, it's water vapor. It's not going to fucking pick it up.
That is great. Anyway, guys.
That was Deani Barbosa.
That was the witch. Thank you guys for hanging out. We appreciate every last freaking one of you. And we'll see you again next week for UFC Tampa.